Hospitality is what keeps us together.
Hey, it's Saya.
I'm Carol.
It's Tiffany.
This is Nicole, and this is what keeps us together.
Basically the group chat in your head.
Living rent free.
Wow, you
Don't
guys.
forget to like, share, and subscribe.
It has
That's
been a
right.
while.
It has.
I'm impressed by it.
But we did that.
One and done.
And that's how you
Like we
do
never
it.
left.
Professional.
Oh, I thought you meant a while since we recorded.
I did.
Oh.
Both. It's been a long road.
And yet here we are.
We took a Christmas break early.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. And welcome back to us.
Life
Not
break.
early. We probably took another Christmas break.
You
Fall
right.
break.
Be
like we're back
ready.
in
Be
school.
ready. We will be doing another
We
break.
were on fall break.
That's right. You sure did.
Fall
As a matter of
just
fact,
started.
yeah. Because
October was life.
when I was in Michigan, my niece had her little break.
Oh,
So
okay.
Oh,
that's
that's
exactly
cute.
what it was.
It was on purpose.
It was.
It
on
was.
purpose.
Yeah, fall
Come
break.
on, look at God's intention.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
All right, y'all.
My
So
God.
how is your month since we last recorded?
I think that's laughable.
Which part? Your
I
life or
All of it.
Yep.
I mean, I admit. Mine too.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm
Jesus.
gonna say October was.
It's Octobered.
Yeah. It
It's
was.
Octobered for sure.
I saw a
We
meme that
did.
said October pulled up, did a head nod and pulled off. And I was like, yeah.
But sprayed on the way.
Oh my God, I was just about to make that joke. But wait. A lot of people just died. I don't know if we should do this. I don't know. I feel uncomfortable.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This feels like music. Very uncomfortable for me.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
Niggas be dying.
Reeling it in, reeling it in.
Okay.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind, I'm not going to say that either. Okay, so how have you guys been feeling? Besides, like crap.
Well, I mean, it was super busy. Life was super busy.
Yeah.
But I think it was just leading up to, like, in October is my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tiff's birthday first, but it's my birthday
Yeah.
later in the month. So I think
Both
it means
of your
more a little bit.
housewarmings.
Yeah.
Yes. Both of us had housewarmings that month. and
Your first
Wedding
anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
wow.
It was busy.
chaotic.
There's a lot of
October
celebrations.
was.
This was all good stuff, though.
It
It was
It
good
was
stuff.
good.
I think it was just preparing for it was
A lot.
Yeah.
a lot.
That's definitely
Yeah.
true.
Felt like we're constantly moving, constantly going.
That's
It's
the
like
part that was really killing me. I was
Yes.
like, wow, it's already the 20.
Right.
First of all,
It's Halloween.
if y'all could have seen me the days before the housewarming party. Okay, so for our viewers, my birthday was on the 27th and the party was on the 29th. And what y'all didn't see was we were still trying to get the house together. And I made up in my mind after Wednesday, I was like, whatever it looks like, it'll look like. I don't care about these people. It is. I mean,
Fair.
I love y'all,
Fair.
but I don't care what they think about what it look like
Fair.
right now. And my niece looked at me and she was like, "Do you need me to go grocery shopping so like that we can have food for these people?" And I was like, "Oh." And she was like, "What are we gonna?
Yeah, what are we gonna
feed
eat?"
them?" Saturday morning, I woke up and looked at my app and said, "We'll order Maggiano's," and that's what it was.
It was
Hey,
good, too.
It was good.
Mhm.
It was really
Yeah.
good. I was tearing that
I
stuff
will
up.
say, since I saw your house when you like first moved in, you guys got a lot done.
You did.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was
It was
like,
a
look
lot.
at you.
We had a lot of things to come together and a lot of
You know what will do it? Pressure.
If they don't have nothing else
Yes.
to it.
Bill's
Okay.
diamond. Bill's
You
diamond.
can
should
apply
have done
apply external pressure.
All I know is my bank account. Jesus, from that.
Ooh.
And it's about to be
Suffering.
Christmas.
Yeah, let's talk
Ain't
about
nobody
it.
getting gifts.
Listen,
You see this house? Y'all want to eat dinner or no?
Blessing.
Actually,
Hey, that's
don't
your
you?
Christmas.
that's your gift.
That's your
Right.
gift. The
Come
gift
see
that
me.
keeps on giving.
Can I
You
use
can-
that excuse still or
Yeah.
no? Okay. It's been 2
Sure,
years.
do it.
Your son
Do
won't
it.
remember Christmas next year, anyways.
Yes. Well, he remembers it now because he was like, he remembers holidays now.
Oh.
And he like
so
looks
fast.
forward. Yeah, he looks forward to it. This year he was like, I'm gonna ask Santa for this. Yeah, it's really cute, but I'm also like, phew, what do you like now? It's like stuff I get off Amazon still? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Brian, at least you didn't see the magazines, the twins I work with.
I actually kind of wish that
magazine.
still happened.
The Target
Toys R Us-
magazine, they have been in that Target magazine since
There's-
it came to their
Target
house.
has a
Yeah, but
magazine.
yes, they do. It's
They
kind of
do.
like a thick little booklet. Too.
Yes.
It
No.
just mirrors Toys R
Girl,
Us.
you don't want it.
No,
How do
not,
you get
not
that?
the Target catalog.
No,
Yes.
I'm
It's a
serious.
mail order.
Yeah.
But I want him to like circle, tell me what he wants instead of me just guessing. But also,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah,
get
but
this
do you want him
catalog?
to circle 30 things?
Yeah, because
It
that's
doesn't
what's
matter.
happening.
We all circled
just
that many
pick.
things. Did you get those?
Yeah. I can also
That's
send it to the 50 million people that are asking me what he wants for
That's
the
true.
holidays.
That's
I saw a
How do I get this catalog?
I don't know.
catalog.
I'll see if I still have it. That's how real. I don't remember. Downton Abbey.
Caucasian,
Downton
my
Abbey.
Caucasian home.
I did
Was
start
that
over The
person?
Crown last night, so maybe it's just like in the back
Is
of
it
my
back
mind.
one already?
I think it's about to come out, so I just started over.
Okay, because I saw something on the news. I just
Y'all, we are
Okay,
tangenting
Okay.
so very
How are you
deeply.
guys feeling? So we're feeling busy,
Wait, can I
stressed.
tell you? I had a quick aside for you personally
Okay, I'm
because
scared.
I
Yeah,
heard a
me too.
TikTok that was like, every time my daughter asks me for something in the store, instead of saying no, I tell her to write it on a list for Santa, so that throughout the year they have like the list of like
Oh,
things
yeah,
they
that's
wanted.
smart.
They ask for the same thing every year, every time.
Sonic.
No, just Sonic or Knuckles toy. Like no specific
Right.
toy. I also don't take him in the toy section either.
Smart.
that is very.
We go to the
I like that they
Walmart
tuck it
Target
away.
catalog.
I like that they tuck it away in the
it's
store.
not near
so
the
then that
clothes
way,
or stuff thing. Yeah,
You just bypass it.
you can very easily. All
Or
right.
if you're hateful like me, you walk through it. Tell them don't touch nothing.
Why would you do
Not you
that?
intentionally marching them through there. Don't look at nothing. Don't touch nothing.
Violence.
Right, these traumatic core memories you're creating with these kids. Why?
My auntie loves me,
Building
but she-
character.
No, they're gonna have shopping addictions when they grow. That's all that's gonna happen.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
All right, so
sorry.
does anyone have a song? We're just gonna say that it.
I do.
Oh, wow.
I do too.
Oh,
Well, only because we did
It's
talk
been a month?
about
Oh.
it has been a month. Well, that, but I also wanted to say I think recently we heard about Takeoff
Yeah.
losing his life,
R.I.P.
and so I don't know about anybody else, but I was listening to a lot of Migos because I enjoy
Drop
some
top.
Migos.
Ring top.
I haven't been ready
Oh.
to listen to them yet.
They had the best ad libs, and that's why I
They
love them.
did. Oh my god! Even when they were riding with what's his name?
That white man,
James
Corbin,
Corbin.
Corbin,
Corbin?
Den.
Yeah, something.
Den.
I don't know. That man.
Yep,
He had all the lab libs.
They
And I was
did.
like,
It was so
I
good.
really,
love them, love it. Brings so much joy to my heart.
that's what I was thinking about us, and I was like, Bad and Bougie. That's
Oh,
that's a
Bad and
great, yes.
I love that.
That's the
Yeah.
vibe.
That's
I
a good
definitely
one.
wanted to at
Good
least
one,
say R.I.P. Takeoff,
Yeah.
and you all, Migos will never be the same.
They
But
won't.
No.
Neither will nothing for you.
Force them out for our homie.
yeah,
Well, we're only
Wish
drinking
we had a
water
40.
today. So.
Can't do that. Okay. Did you have
Depression.
emotional damage?
No, I've been listening. I listened to I've been putting together a playlist of cry music. You guys do that? Like when you're sad, but together music that makes you cry?
Not since high school.
Oh, well, that's what I've been doing. So I
Well,
have nothing.
Where?
You want to share a good song?
Yeah,
Like,
share
like,
a good
Oh,
song.
to get a
sure.
sign off?
Let me,
Or
I
listen
You know,
to
a
will.
song immediately came to me when you said that.
What?
What?
Emotions.
That's
Destiny
a job.
Child. Yeah.
Taking me over. That's a good one. I should
Yeah.
add it.
Lord.
This song called "Don't" by Colette Lush is really good.
Oh,
Can you send it to us?
yeah.
Yeah,
Please, because I don't
heard
know
of it.
that one.
I'll play it.
Also, in terms of new music,
10 seconds. We're not paying for this.
her voice sounds nice.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah.
I looked her up. She does not look like what y'all thought she was sounding. You
What's
know,
that?
like when
Is
you
she
have
white?
a like a. She is Caucasian.
Not the rare back in the holler. What in the world?
Because I thought it, but I was like, I'm not going to say it. But I love my friends.
I feel like this deserves something.
This is getting a.
Sorry.
Well,
Just
I
called
gave
it in.
her credit
I
because
just
she
knew
sounds
that
amazing.
was why you were shocked. I knew it had to be.
Sounds so good.
Again.
Awful. Absolutely
man.
awful.
Okay.
All right, well, that's where I'm at.
Alex
Ooh.
Vaughn is also a new artist.
Yeah.
And her music is really, really good.
What?
No, she's not. Okay. My song, I was listening to the Carter album yesterday, and I was like,
Wow.
randomly, it was just like, my friends, what a thing, friends. And I was like, oh, perfect, because I haven't seen my friends in so long. All
Aw.
together.
I was supposed to say. I saw that.
All right. I think the one song that keeps coming back to me is Self Care by, what is her name? Christina Savannah. I want to say it's Christina something,
Mm.
but it's Self Care. It's like really like mellowy and I don't know. That's what I've been doing this last few days. It's just self caring.
Savannah
Good for you.
Christina.
Mhm. Yes. See, I knew it was something like that. Savannah Christina.
Mhm.
Okay.
Look it up. It's delightful.
Have to look.
GTS.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
All right.
Great, guys.
So it's on you, Tiff.
Okay. Oh. Am I low also
Only when you turn your head.
To
to talk to you?
Yeah.
Yes, you might have to actually move the mic when you.
A little.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay, cool.
Let's hear. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys, the topic for this week, I kind of accidentally came up with it. we were talking a lot about people that we see in like public forums that have disappointed us and how we like deal with that. So really it's like kind of like grieving a personality that you thought you knew. And it can be, and then we realize that it's not just celebrities. Sometimes it happens in real life. Sometimes it happens with people that you know and then are disillusioned by, or people that you thought would be one way and then are another way. So it came up in a kind of multitude of ways. And so we're going to talk about that. And I think we're going to start off by talking about, I don't know if Bill Cosby is a good place to start because apparently I'm the only person that cares.
No, I don't think that you're the only person that
It's not-
cares.
Oh, okay, okay,
You were
okay.
just very passionate about it.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
passionate.
Okay.
You can start there.
Oh, okay. I feel weird talking about it now. 'cause I'm
Why?
like,
Your
Well, then
uncle?
I'll talk about it.
my uncle.
What's happening?
felt. That's how
One
I
thing
felt
black
when you were
people
talking
gonna do
about it.
is make somebody their family member they ain't not
My
near related.
godfather. I think because I watched that documentary that we got to talk about the Cosbys. Have y'all watched it?
No, I keep
Mm-mm.
forgetting about
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I was watching that and then I talked to you guys
Okay.
about it. And so that
makes
is
sense.
probably why I was
it. I
charged.
want to say that you were more
Right.
passionate about that before this documentary came out.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
I feel like it just
Can we just talk about it?
We talked about
added
it.
about it. Like, no, sorry, that came out real wrong. I feel like you watching the documentary just enhanced how you felt about it because, I mean, I get why it probably was upsetting because it's like when you grow up watching something and that's kind of like for me, I think we watched Family Matters more than I watched Cosby Show. So it's like I'm okay. So in the same vein, like how you felt about Bill Cosby and
You found out Judy was a crackhead and you were like,
well, no, not just that. I mean, for me, Family Matters in the same vein as Bill Cosby, not in what he did, but finding out like the dad, I think, is gay, right? In Carl Winslow, gay in real life.
yes. he
No. Oh, I know.
That's
oh,
what I
is
heard.
it?
He is.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
is
yeah,
it?
is.
Oh,
he
okay.
is.
I didn't know that.
I
know
found out that the
um,
dad was gay, and then it didn't make me grieve. It just like, oh,
You're on the download that whole time. Poor Harriet. That's what you thought?
My childhood is a
not
lie.
necessarily that, but it's like you, as your child, you don't think that these people are acting. Like you think that this is a real life. You think
Yeah.
that this is
Yeah.
their like
Yeah.
who they are when they turn the cameras off, and like
Yeah.
the same thing for Uncle Phil. And so you're like, oh, this is like who this person really is. Maybe I should get to know that person instead of just thinking that they're Uncle Phil. You know,
Social media changed a lot, though.
it did.
I feel
Mm.
like.
Yeah,
It
it
did.
definitely opened our eyes to a lot.
Oof,
I know, but
more than you
why
want to
don't you
know
share
sometimes.
with how you felt about
Okay.
Bill Cosby?
I'm trying to remember now. Okay, so I think for me, I guess like growing up watching like the Huxtables and the Cosby Show, I just like really loved that show. And so I always thought it was just going to be like one of those like timeless like black shows.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of that. That's not true.
Yeah.
Let me not do that. We have a number of them.
We
But I
do.
thought it was going to be like one that like just stood the test of time.
That's a wholesome one that everyone can want.
Mhm.
Yeah, like my kids would be watching it. Like I can still watch it like throughout like time. It's not like something that I've aged out of. I feel like I can watch it and when I was little, when I'm an adult, when I'm older and still enjoy it.
Mhm.
And I just feel like now I can't
Yeah.
do that at all. Like it is
Mm.
like completely marred. I can't, it's like trying to listen to R. Kelly. Like I just can't do it without like also like it just being like an in my face reminder of all the crazy shit that Bill Cosby's done throughout the time that was being filmed,
Right.
which is also like part of the alarming aspect of it.
So I remember you were saying before that you could separate his art from him, but then the documentary came out and you can no longer do that.
Yeah, I think kind of like, okay, so we talked about this with R. Kelly
Mhm.
about how so much of his work is him really just brazenly telling us what he's doing in his
Right.
day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so knowing now that so much of like what was happening was also happening while it was on set of like the Cosby Show, it just erased that like line that was there for me.
Gotcha.
Mm.
I can't like act like I don't know that. And so it just it does just like change. I just can't watch it in ignorant bliss anymore. I'm not ignorant, so it has changed like my lens to be able to view it comfortably.
Yeah, I was sad about Bill Cosby, but like I said, I think you were more sad than
I was shocked.
I mean, I was shocked too. Like I wasn't expecting him, like Cliff Huxtable. Like he would never.
America's
do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, he would never do that. But yeah, I think R. Kelly hurt my family only because not that we didn't know. I also give us a little bit of grace because we were young when all this stuff came out. So like,
thank you for grace.
Well, we were young. No, I'm playing. So we were.
The grace is limited every time it gets to age.
So I feel like there was rumors we didn't know, but there's a lot of speculation about what happened. Like we didn't have all the facts until a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So I think I told you guys TP2 was one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
Love that album, but I can't listen to and Chocolate Factory. Really like that album too. But I can't listen to it hearing all the stories from these women, getting like firsthand accounts of what he was doing to them. Well, and boys at the time. Like knowing all this stuff, I can't listen to anything. Every single time a song comes on, I'm like, my foot gets ready to, and I'm like, nope, turn it off. Like, if you didn't feel like I don't play anything deliberately by him, but like if I'm out,
and
it comes on, I'm like, I can't. I feel bad for even like. But yeah, that one really hurt my
heart.
Do you feel like it'll be? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go. I completely cut you off. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine. I don't know why I'm struggling so much, but maybe it's because I'm
about to defend him.
No, I'm about to like. I feel like
okay, here it comes.
Listen, y'all, it's about to be what keeps us
grieving
together. It's about to be the three of us, not the four of us.
Some days I'm like, do I have to cancel my man because I feel like after we started having the conversation, like, and this is way after the accusations, way even after Surviving R. Kelly docuseries came out. Like, I feel like recently, because we've been talking about it quite a bit, I feel like I wake up some mornings and Harry is playing R. Kelly, but he's like intentional about it. Like, he's like, oh, I'm going to poke this bear. And I'm like,
wait, so he's playing it to piss you off?
That's a weird bear.
I don't know if, because Harry's thought process is you need to separate the artist from the man. Wow. And I'm like, how, when his music is based off of the things that he was doing?
Yes.
But then it's like, he didn't necessarily say this, but then it's probably going to be very controversial what I'm about to say. But it's, do you say, I guess it's when you reserve grace, not that I'm reserving grace for R. Kelly. I want to be very clear in this disclaimer. I am not reserving any grace for this man. It's a hell no. But could someone potentially say, like, do you separate the man from the messenger when you're talking about like a pastor or someone in the church?
Conversation too,
and we've had that conversation before. But I'm like,
oh, you mean like if the pastor's doing something grimy?
Yeah. And I know we've had that conversation before, but it's like, we can't really, like, it depends. You know, we good with like, well, it depends. Is it just in our face?
What are the
is pastor sleeping with deacon is such and such? And let me also be clear, this is not referencing anybody at the church that we attend. So let me be very clear in that.
This is hypothetical.
This is a hypothetical situation. So don't at me or anybody else up here.
That's right.
I'm not that one.
That's right. Nicole can stay.
Yeah.
She's our security.
But like, is, a pastor church and church, this church sleeping with deacon and such, and it's brazenly in our face. Like, do we cancel them?
Yes.
Or, I mean, I know that we probably would, but
there's only so much, me personally, grace that I can reserve.
Yeah.
Like, agreed. I think if you are doing something and like you do something once and you are very remorseful of it and it doesn't happen again, or even if you do it once or twice and you're remorseful, you're actively working on not doing it again.
Yeah, that's
one thing. If this has become your lifestyle,
right?
I.e., what's his name? The Gray.
John Gray.
Mm-hmm. It is obviously his lifestyle to cheat on his wife. You know what I mean? Right. Like, he has made that very clear. No, I cannot reserve grace for you. Like, you're not sorry. You're not, right. You're not sorry. R. Kelly still has doubled down on everything he's done, has not said he's sorry. Like, so
I'm fighting for my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how about the people you kidnapped? But my thing is like, I feel like the separation of that is easier when it comes to acting. That's why I had a harder time letting go of like Bill Cosby versus Huxtable, because that to me, like, that is you are acting. Like I thought I knew you because of a character you play on TV.
Right.
That's my bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like us falling in love with your music and you talking about the atrocities that you're committing on teenage girls.
Right.
That is not a separation.
No.
So I don't know how I would create a separation that you didn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's good. Let me give you a hand.
So guys, this is Nicole's first time handling sound effects. So give her some grace.
Thank you. Thanks, Nicole.
But yeah, I can't
a whole bunch of random little sounds.
I think for all of these, though, the thing that I have to like Carol's point, I think that the thing we have to remember too is like a lot of this is our expectations of somebody else's behavior, right? Like the expectation is because you've set a precedent, whatever that precedent may be. Bill Cosby, it is you become a beloved father. With R. Kelly, you made us
step in the name of love.
Step in the name of love, or I don't know, Juicy Smollett. You made us believe that you too could be attacked as a gay person. Like I don't know, but like, it's just like you feel.
That's not what I thought you. I thought you like you made us believe that we can fly. And
oh, no, I thought she was gonna say be like a gay superstar because that's what he was on the show.
Oh, is it? I've never watched the show, but yeah, that
Empire?
too. Sure. But yeah, so these are the characters, not even the characters, but your public persona has set an expectation that maybe the people who are playing them or have, like, because you want to be beloved, because being beloved makes money. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. Like if we love what you do, we love what you produce, we love the things that you are a part of, then that does equate to more people providing capital into whatever you're doing. So I understand that. But then there's that expectation of that being the same thing all the time. And therein lies us grieving, what we thought somebody was, only because they've utilized the tool, which is, TV and celebrity and everything else to get to the certain level. And we don't know what's behind closed doors. Right. We only know
the character.
Yeah, the character. And so then, of course, we are setting our own selves up
for disappointment.
For disappointment.
Well, I was about to
sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's two things. Okay. And it's layered. I think that there is an element that is true. I think that we grieve these personalities because we perceive them to be X.
Right.
And they're not that. So there is that element. We're like, there are certain people who will show their ass and we won't grieve because we knew that they were trash in the first place, right?
Right.
But I think there's another element there too where we also don't expect people to be monsters. And that's the other aspect where it's not just like, it's not like you cut line in Starbucks. It's not like you just like stepped out on your wife like one time and it was a mistake and you came to her and then we realized that. Right. These are like very, very heinous, like terrible things
this is true.
that you are committing on people, like victimizing people. Like that it's shocking anyways.
Right.
So like, even if I think you're trash, I would still be shocked that
at the level.
This is my line. You choose to act.
This is your line.
Yeah. Like I didn't even know that was something that
it's possible.
People are just like really out here just like roofing people on Tuesdays.
Let me. But I think Saya had a point. I think when she mentioned we set ourselves up, who's setting the expectation? Are we setting the expectation?
Media.
Or are they setting the expectation? Because they are presenting an art form. They're presenting a representative of maybe even who they are.
Right.
And if we don't spend the time to even to get to know that individual or to know, it's kind of like, I'm going to throw this in there and I'm going to be done with it. But politics, it's like they give you a representative of who they are. It's up to us to read the policies. Go vote on Tuesday if that's what you're supposed to do.
All right.
This will come out after that, but
I hope you already voted.
Yes.
Yeah. Well.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. So, but it's up to us as individuals to go read the policies that they stand for and their platforms, so that we can make an educated decision. So, as a people, when we see somebody in their art form, we create the expectation. They're just presenting something.
Well, I agree in terms of it's like, if they're like Rihanna, when she was like, I'm not a role model. Like don't tell your daughter, don't have your 6-year-old watching me do something because I'm grown and I'm going to be doing it.
And it's interesting. Maybe it's growth on my end because I was mad at her, but when Cardi did it, I was like, true.
But I guess
you also set an expectation.
But it's different if you're telling someone to be a role model, like, because I don't know who you are as a person. I only know your music or who you are on TV or whatever. So me being like, oh, I look up to you, and you're, I don't know, snorting cocaine or whatever on your free time, like, you can do that because you're grown. You can do whatever you want. But to me, this is a little, it's a little further than role model. You know what I mean? Like, this is a step further than just that. But why are you mad at Rihanna?
When she said that, when she was like, well, it's another conversation entirely. But maybe it actually fits into this conversation. When she had her domestic abuse situation when Chris Brown hit her.
Oh yeah.
And I realized in hindsight that she's trying to process something that has happened to her personally in real time. And there's a lot of media coverage around that. But I was disappointed that she wasn't like, no, fuck you, and I'm never going to talk to you again. It was that like period when they were like still trying to see if the relationship was going to work. And then that statement came out of like, I'm not a role model. And I was just like, but you are.
Right.
Even if you don't want to be, like, you are.
But I understand her being like too fair. Like, I'm not. I'm a human.
But that's what I'm saying is like growth. But from the aspect of like when that happened, we were younger. Like it's happened. It was some time ago. Like I was young. Looking up to Rihanna, like you're awesome. You know what I mean? And like wanting the best for her, not like me being like, trying to judge her, but me trying to be like, well, there are other women that I know are dealing with the same thing, and if you are able to be strong, that, you know,
help. But she wasn't ready. Yeah.
I completely understand that, but I was mad at the time.
I was going to add in this thing too, that I think that happens when we are grieving somebody also is like, a lot of times people are putting out their representative because they know that's all you can deal with. Like, I often feel about like making it personal. Like when we're kids, we may not know a lot about relatives, people down the street. I think about the Jeffrey Dahmer. I've not seen it, but the Jeffrey Dahmer like docuseries and like how people were like, oh, we never knew, because like
there's a new one on Hulu, a friend of the family.
Yeah,
same kind of creepy shit.
Yeah, but too much for my mind. But I'm saying all that to say that I think that a lot of times there are a lot of things that we do not deal with as individuals or cannot deal with as individuals. And so a lot of times people will send either their representative or even ourselves, right? Like we have to send representatives sometimes. And then therein lies the problem of like, once you have to peel back that layer, be it you get caught by the police, Jeffrey Dahmer's case, or I don't know, you become older and you see a family member or a friend of the family in a new light that you, only because you've grown to a space where they've allowed themselves to be their full representative versus like the one that they were sending before. That's
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just
I've been playing double dutch this whole episode.
Sorry. The hard part is like, who's the representative? Is the true you the worst thing you do or the best thing you do?
Word.
That is a good one.
But
Can you be a good person and do bad things, or do a bad thing?
Yeah. For sure.
Or a bad person and do good ones.
For sure.
Both.
Yeah.
I don't think one takes precedent over the other. I think it's just what is your general nature? Like what are your characteristics? Like
what makes majority of the time
you,
when you're not murdering?
I would like to think I'm a decent person, but I'm sure there's things that I do that are not.
As Christians, we are supposed to at some point, you've not been tied to God and you then build a relationship with him. Are we to judge all the crappy stuff you did from before or this new person?
I mean, if me giving you grace gets me murdered, was that what I was supposed to do?
Ooh.
Not ooh.
But also, I'm sure there's someone that could be like, you're a great person, and then someone else says that you're trash.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's your perception, and the expectation that somebody puts on that person. I mean, I know for myself personally, I have been going through I went through a grieving process, just in my own situation. But I think what helped me was understanding that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I think it got to a space for me where I was like getting angry, like emotions all over the place, sad, angry, furious, more than furious. I mean, it stayed on the angry side, but I think I got to a space where I was like, why am I experiencing all of this emotion and the other person is not?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like they're going about their day to day. And granted, I don't know what other people go through. I mean, it's like the saying when you being mad at someone is like you drinking the poison and expecting them to die from it.
Yeah.
And I know for myself in that moment, like in grieving, I'm not going to say the relationship, but that tie that maybe we had before, I had to understand that I was angry all the time because of an expectation I put on them. And I had to start telling myself, Nicole, not everybody is you. Not everybody's going to do the things that you do. How you do those things, maybe it doesn't make sense to them, and you have to be okay with that.
But did they give you, like, you put expectation on them, but did they give you any reason to believe that that's what they were doing? Or did they like co-sign this expectation? You know what I mean? Like at some point, if someone's saying X, Y, Z, but you're putting B on them, then yeah, of course, that's your fault. Right. But if we're both on the page of X, Y, Z, then I feel like but it's not just on me.
Not if the expectation is it's assumed that something is going to happen and they continue to show you each and every time that they're not going to choose that right thing. They're going to choose what they want to do and not what's best for the greater good. So then it's like I'm constantly getting angry because they're not doing what I think they should be doing or how they should be doing it. And then I'm like,
but you never said you were going to do it. Or they never said they were going to.
I mean, from time to time. But when you don't show up or when you're showing up for other people and not for the group that the expectation is on you, it's like, maybe I need to remove that expectation and then I will stop being so angry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Real. So I remove the expectation. I stop being so angry and I find peace because I no longer have that expectation of you or other individuals.
Yeah.
So when I don't have the expectation, it's like, we can be cool, but I'm not gonna ask you to do nothing.
Right.
But also don't ask me to do nothing.
Yeah, I know where to leave you.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that mentality really helped me in my like 20s when I was like trying to figure out like, you know, like relationships, friendships, like stuff that was like just happening. And I heard this quote that was like, people aren't against you, they're for themselves. And it like gave me a new lens to like think about people like, I feel like you wronged me or that I shouldn't be treated this way by you, but really you're not doing something to me. You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And like using that as an opportunity to like know where to leave people sometimes. Like you're giving me the opportunity to learn about you. So I know kind of like what tier to have you in my life, whether or not we're going to be close or just friends or acquaintances. I'm letting you choose that based on your actions instead of like trying to force you into a space that I thought you were going to be in.
Right.
Yeah. I think as women, we go to the future a lot with not only romantic relationships, but friendship as well. Like we're planning things like we're going to do this, or like I see you in this part of my life, or like, you know what I mean? Like we're planning for you to be in certain situations. So like when that person's no longer there or they've done something to disappoint you, you're like grieving all of the plans you had in your head for you and that person too, which is also hard to reconcile with. For me, at least, I'm just like, oh, I thought we were going to do this, and this, and now you're not there. And I'm like, dang, now it's like almost sullies something that
and now I'm mad until I get past the point where I wasn't thinking about you no more.
I recently had a conversation about like growth, right? Like I think to what Tiff's point is like a lot of times what a relationship was doesn't mean that it always remains in that way. And so a lot of times what I've found too is like, I'm having to question whether or not it's just, we're just growing apart. Right. Like,
which is okay.
Yeah. Which is okay. But it also
doesn't feel like it in the moment. Though.
Doesn't feel like that in the moment. And for me, you're talking about future, but for me, I grieve the past. For me, I grieve like we were so close. We used to do all these things and now we don't do them anymore. And I've had to reconcile like me feeling that way. Not only me feeling that way, but me also like having to say, okay, am I trying to force us to stay the same and not be okay with things being something different? Right.
Do you are your memories sullied?
No, the memories aren't sullied, but I do find that sometimes I'm like trying to maybe relive them. And I've had to be like, okay, this is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was great for the time.
Right.
You were both in a different space, and now you're in, you make, like, for me, I know a lot of my, like everybody, all y'all have been in relationships, and I'm pretty much been single for the longest time, usually single. Never bothered me, but it was like when we're all single,
Be in the streets.
It's
we're in
easy.
the streets.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. But then when everyone is not, then you're like, oh, okay. all
In the
right.
streets by
Except
myself.
for me, I'm
Yeah.
consistent. I don't
In
want to
the
be in the streets
streets?
single
Or-
or in.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, no.
What
No,
type of
that's fair.
consistency are we speaking about?
No.
Yeah, so it's one of these things of like being like where I'm at may have changed a little bit, may have stayed the same a little bit, but you have to be okay with people being like, I opt out. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is not what I want to do anymore. It was fun for that point of time, and you can't relive
Yeah.
youth, or you can't say let's do it like we used to because it's not going to be the same.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
Agree with
not.
my
true.
knees.
Your Megan Thee Stallion knees.
I feel you. I have two
Your
friends.
Maxwell knees.
Mm.
Yes, Maxwell knees. I have two friends that are no longer friends.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I want us to all be like, I want to see all
Yeah.
friends and I want to like force them to be friends again. But I also
Yeah.
know that like I can't because it's not my
Yeah.
Right.
friendship. Like
Yeah.
they have their own friendship outside of me, even though like we're like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to reconcile that I have to let them live their own
Yeah.
stories
Right.
and their lives and let that relationship either play out however it's going to.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just, I don't
It's
know. I need to
hard.
stop
It
thinking
is.
about the future. I feel like.
I know, but it's hard though, because sometimes when you're not as close with people as like you used to be, sometimes the memories aren't sullied, but I want them to be.
Oh,
Like sometimes I like
Mhm.
looking back nostalgically on these like really great times we had isn't serving me any good when
Yeah.
I'm like missing that friendship, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then like sometimes I'm like, that was fun, I guess.
No, I mean, I get that because so in my previous relationship, it's like you spend so much time with people that for me, it's almost like a movie. I replay the memory and it's like I see that person vanishing from it
Oh.
a little bit, but not in a like, damn, I'm sad about it. It's like, I guess it was mediocre because then like I
Scorpio.
think about
Not to be mid.
well, no, because then I think about like the memories and I'm like, I was not a happy individual.
Oh,
in
that's
that
yeah.
real.
Like
That's
you were
real.
romanticizing it.
Yeah,
Right.
the
Yeah.
rose-colored
I was
glasses came off.
forcing a situation to be what it wasn't.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I
Niggas.
like I'll be the first person to admit that. My last relationship, it was like candidly, I was forcing the relationship because my family said it wouldn't work.
I feel you.
Ooh, that's a hard
Been
pill.
there.
So
Take that.
I mean, for listeners, if you have a family member, I'm put this plug in real quick. If you have a family member that you don't like their significant other, be there to support them. Do not.
So then they'll
judge-
break up.
Yeah.
I mean, let them figure out who. Because again, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. They will figure it out eventually. But you may be the difference between staying with them for a year and a half or 5 years.
Yeah. That's so funny. I was actually thinking about that when I was watching this a friend of the family show, because like the mom is like very anti this very inappropriate relationship, and she should be. But I was like, well, what if you just like, she's expecting you to be like, no, you can't, you have to stay here. You can't do anything. What if you're just like, okay.
Right.
And now you actually have to analyze whether or not you're liking the relationship instead of
Correct.
fighting me. Like now you have to analyze, like, are you actually happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
are
that
you
prodigal
actually
son
getting
stuff.
like what you need?
It's a fine line. Is the person in danger?
She is. It's not good. It's not good. I was just saying, like, as like, I wouldn't actually like
A
sign the
teenager.
documentation, but if I would just like said it to her, then like, how does that change the perception of what's happening in your
Yeah,
mind?
for sure.
I think, yeah, to Nicole's point, I think it's one of these things of like, you can say, all right, I understand that you're in this space right now.
Mhm.
I don't agree with the space, but I understand you sometimes got to go through some
Yeah,
things.
right.
to,
Yeah, I support you.
Right. I support you. So if you ever feel like this relationship isn't what you want, know
You
that
all
I'm
can always
here.
come home.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's important, but I think that that's all of it, right? Like when you're grieving a relationship, or you're grieving, well, celebrities know, but like, a relationship or somebody else, you have to be like, okay, I love you enough to say, if this relationship in whatever context is not working for you in this moment, like, I love you enough to know that you'll be all right if we don't deal for a while.
Yeah,
And
right.
like, you can always come home type scenario. Like, I think
Right.
that's where I'm kind of like, even with my own personal stuff has been like, I'm okay with, I need to become okay with where you're at. And once you realize that maybe like I have to put up boundaries because I can't deal with the person you are, and I like, maybe that means I like pull back a little bit. Not to say that I don't love you. I'm gonna tell you I love you up front, but I'm gonna say that like I'm grieving either who you used to be and who we used to be together, or I'm feeling like this new space that you're in doesn't really serve me. So like, I love you, but I'm gonna take a step back. If you ever feel like you want to come back,
Yeah.
cool. But I think that that's something we have to like be okay with doing, or allowing people to kind of just go their own way. Like, I think a lot of times we like grieve it so much and we hold on so tight, and it's like, you can still love this person. You
Right.
just don't have
Okay.
to be like in
I have a
their
question.
face.
Like, so how do you deal? Maybe this is a Taurus in me, but like the anger behind this person. Because for me, sometimes I feel like you abandoned me.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like, even if we're just friendship, romantic relationship, whatever, if something happens and you're no longer in my life the way that you were before, I'm going to be in my bag about it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
feel away. So how do you, I'm asking my mature friends, how do you deal with like the anger behind someone changing it up?
But what is the, so are you guys still friends, or is like the relationship kind of dissolved?
I don't know. What's better for the conversation? We're in a weird space.
I guess it's better if you're trying to be friends. Then
Yeah, like if you're
it's
trying
easier
to,
to have a conversation about it.
but I think
Yeah.
in most of these cases, you try and resolve it first. Typically, there's very few situations where it just like it ends, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Typically, it's a buildup of
Well,
something.
I have one.
But that was something different. So
Yeah, but typically there's some type of buildup where you guys are you're feeling contention between you two,
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
happen before it's like I'm not talking to you anymore.
I feel like even in the situation that I'm referring to, I did try that,
Mm.
and it was a weird situation, and
Yeah.
I've talked about this a lot, even on this podcast. But like, I don't know. Like, you have to. Both parties have to want to fix it.
Right.
Yeah,
So like that is like the core element of like what
Mhm.
needs to be happening. But
Right.
there's also like, jokingly, my first thought was like, go to therapy. But honestly, sometimes
that's
that's
it.
what needs to happen
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
A
Because
mediator.
also sometimes what we don't realize, and I definitely in my early 20s did not realize this, is like what we're triggering in other people, like sometimes has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Right.
And like they don't know that. They may not have had that realization, or if they do have the realization, may not have the tools to communicate that with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes like it can be pride, it can be ego, it can be our own like issues and trauma that we're dealing with that like make it hard to like bring up in conversation. But like, I know I tried, and that's what makes me feel gross as a human being. When I look back on those memories, I'm like, wow, you really tried to like salvage that friendship. That
Mhm.
Why
just
do you
was
feel
like not
gross?
meant.
Because you feel like you did everything you could.
Well,
But I
Because
mean,
that's why.
oh, because I would feel
So do you feel like it's a waste of time at that point then?
Not like it's a waste of
like
time.
you were
I just,
begging.
like, yeah, it just like feels cringe to me now
Yeah.
from that standpoint of like when a relationship is over and you're like still trying to make it
Right.
like you're
Oh.
one-sidedly
Right.
like trying to
Yeah,
fix
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like the I think in this situation too, the hard part is like the other person was like feeding off of me being in that space.
Yes.
Like being in that
Needed
like
you to be
I'm
there.
trying to
Yes.
like make this, but it was like the whole dynamic was like really fucked up because it was also like starting from a place of like her like telling me that I was ungrateful. So it was like me trying to show appreciation for
Yeah.
our friendship was like why I was like in that space already.
Mhm.
And then I had to take a step back and be like, that is not true at all. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like,
But play your
it's
narrative,
all
girl.
like
That's what you
completely
need.
like encapsulated in
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I will also say though too, I think to your question, it becomes the thing of like, well, yeah, therapy for sure. But I recently had to come to the conclusion too, like if it was starting to make me feel like, am I trying to pressure somebody to be something that they don't want to be?
Mm.
And so for me, it was like, okay, that might be what I'm doing. Might not be. Could be and then I was like, maybe something else is going on and I'm not sure. But then I also said to myself, I was like, I need to be in a space where I won't get angry if we do have that conversation. Because I don't want to be in a place to be able to receive whatever it is that this person may or may not even be feeling at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's keep it a buck. Like, it may just very well be that life be life in.
Yeah.
And they can't be in the same, can't maintain the same thing that we were doing previously.
Yeah.
Like I said, mine has never been future, but it's been like previous things. So I was like, okay, for myself, am I okay with receiving whatever feedback I get? If I'm not, which I'm currently not, so I'm waiting.
It's honest of you.
Right.
Growth.
I was like, but when I get there, then I'll be ready to have that conversation and be okay with whatever it is. It could very easily be, girl, you tripping. I don't know why you're even talking about this. Or it could be, did you know that you did X, Y, and Z? Because I'm also a person, I will tell you right now, that I'll be completely oblivious to hurting somebody's feelings, and not intentionally, but it's like, unless you say something to me, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it could very well be that something has happened and I didn't even know that I'd done it. And so I need to be ready for that. Because, you know, you don't want to be in a position of having that conversation and immediately being on the defense, because then that person's not going to want to like be honest with you. So it's hard to like get to that space, because in the meantime of like trying to get to that space, you're grieving the relationship still, right?
Yeah.
So you're still just like, oh, I really want this relationship to be back, but girl, you got to get ready for whatever that conversation is going to look like. You got to be ready for whatever feedback.
For sure.
I mean, so okay. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with the grief part of it. And maybe it's because
you're a Scorpio?
I'm
Keep saying
fair.
Yeah, shut up. No, it's because I guess I'm trying to, where I am now, I'm trying to remain in like a positive type light, right? I try to be
Bounce on positive
optimist a little bit, and maybe it's to counteract some of the Scorpio, because the Scorpio me, I'm like, man, fuck that shit, whatever.
Fair.
Like, we ain't cool. That means I can stay in the house a little bit longer. Like, I ain't got to come outside and deal with you. That's fine by me. I don't care. But I think like, it's kind of like when someone passes away and like you say, they pass away, but then like you call it a celebration of life. And I feel like while we grieve maybe a relationship or a person or our notion of what a person is, I think also we have to be mindful to celebrate what it was.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Like, I know I talked about, like, when I look back in the memory, sometimes I feel like people and sometimes things like vanishing from it, because I'm trying to pull the good out of whatever that was.
And that person wasn't part of the good.
I mean, not if it was making me unhappy.
That's
no.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Whatever. No, not if it was not making me happy, but also like celebrating the time one that I had with that individual, and also celebrating where I am now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, just in the last week, I've been really like reflective upon things, and like I just keep thinking about like this year for me personally has been tough. But and I'm like, I kept telling myself, I just need to get to this point, and I just need to get to this point, and I just need to get to this point. And
you made
like,
it.
Grieving all of those things, right? And then like now I have to celebrate where I am now. Because would I have even gotten here if I didn't go through all of that?
Girls.
Yeah.
Would I be in this space? Or even like, it doesn't even have to be all of the things. It could be maybe you're not friends with somebody no more, right? And then you grieve that, but would you, like I told one of my really good friends from high school, she was dating someone that I happened to know was a mutual friend. And I noticed, one, that they were unhappy as all hell. Two, this person was dragging them through the mud. The moment they broke up, like within 3 months, she found what is now her current wife, bought a home, redid their home. And I'm just like, if you had not gone through all of that, then you wouldn't be here in this space. And sometimes we have to celebrate just that.
Yeah. The journey and the lesson definitely is a big part of it, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also getting to that side too.
Yeah.
Of like,
it's hard.
Of the upside.
Yeah.
And I think that is a way, making sure you celebrate those wins despite or because of the hardships that you went through, is sometimes how we give ourselves closure in situations where we expect closure from other people.
Right. I will say too, I think that one thing that we didn't quite cover, but I think that it's important with regards to like our expectations is like our view of the person may have shifted, but they're still the same person, right? Like I think it's just like our awareness.
Are they?
I know it is.
Like they've been trashed the whole time. We just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Is that better or worse?
Could be. I'm not saying that
The
it's
smoke mirror was that? You
right.
couldn't see?
I mean, but in all reality, a lot of what people are, even our own selves, is the room in which everyone else has allowed them to be that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think about close relationships and I think about even celebrities. We've given them the room to be that sometimes. And then once we have maybe evolved and have been like, this is problematic. Like, once I really look at it, like, this is not how the relationship really should be, or I have allowed you too much rope and I'm going to need to bring it back in for my own personal growth, whatever the case may be. And they really haven't changed. It's so much like we are really seeing like them for the full person that we've allowed them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things of like, okay, can I just get to the point of being like, all right, this is you. Now, how do I maintain my boundary with you, but then also still like, especially like for family, like maintain the relationship, even though it's very clear now that who you have always been is not quite working with like me, or I'm now learning that to love myself more, and that the way in which you've been treating me has never been healthy.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I think a lot of us go to therapy for just that reason, right? And it's like, this person is who they are. We have kind of allowed some of that to be. Can we still love them, especially with family? Can we still love them even though we have to put some boundaries up, right? Like we have to make some slight changes in who we are in order to manage the relationship, breathe through what we thought it would be, and maybe grow. It may not. Keep it 100.
This reminds me of Kanye a little bit because I was just having a conversation, and I feel like I've had a conversation about Kanye with everybody.
Fair.
But so a friend of mine's husband was just like, Kanye has always been like, even in the George Bush doesn't like black people, like he's always said stuff that was controversial. Like he's kind of been on that side. It's just that before it wasn't, what's the word? Blasphemous to black people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what he was saying was to our benefit. So it was like, oh yeah, like Kanye, like he's for the people. And then now he's like, white lives matter and George Floyd and slavery was a choice, and like all this other really problematic and disrespectful things to the black community. And now some of the black community is like, how dare you? How could you do this? But like, to your point, this could have always been who he was. It's just now his perspective on things possibly could be changing. Yeah. And then there's also the mental health part of it. Like, is he going through an episode right now? And he's, there's a lot of things happening, but that's what we can switch to Kanye because
okay. So
how'd you come in with it? I feel like you came ready.
It's not that I'm ready. I recognize mental health is very real. Mental health is important. And I think that everybody should, regardless if someone has labeled you with an issue or not, I think that therapy is much needed for everybody across the board. What Kanye is doing is some of it is mental health and some of it is we just need to hold this Negro accountable.
Oh yeah. To be clear, regardless if he's going through a mental health episode or not, you're still accountable for the words that you say.
Right.
Yes. So I just want to
make the words you say, the actions you do.
Yes, you're still accountable for those things.
Like he's just out of pocket in a lot of instances. And like, I've even heard some people say it's because, his mom, and I'm sure that grieving process for him was rough. I know personally in my family that we don't have any biological men outside of my nephew. And almost every man in our family has lost their mother at some point in time. And so I've seen firsthand the grieving process, and everybody's grieving process is different. So I can't necessarily speak on Kanye and how he's grieving his mother, but I don't think it's fair to say that it's because his mom passed away that's maybe why he's acting like that. Because I think that some people imply that maybe she's the one that was keeping a rein on him. But listen, as an adult,
that's another
you
podcast.
need to be an adult.
Black women need to stop being We need to stop blaming Black women for everything.
Please and thank you.
Or expecting us to save everybody from everything.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, yes, because
My cape is over there.
I mean,
My cape been off. I burned it.
my cape staying one. So, but
They can have
at the
it.
end of the day, it's there's a level of accountability that has to happen that I can't say that I agree with this man in the concept of him, because I'm a little bit more R&B. So there's only a few people that I enjoy listening to regularly. He wasn't necessarily one of them, but
Must
like,
be.
I mean, I don't know. I struggle with Kanye because I feel like I'm very sad for him. I'm sad for him, and I'm sad for his family because it's out there in the cyber world and it won't go away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which means even after this goes away, it will not go away, and his children will grow up and have to experience what dad
Kim's
did.
sex tape and him acting
Or is
crazy.
still
Like,
doing.
Jesus.
Like,
that popped
Yeah.
back up, and I was watching what is the show?
The Kardashians.
Love and Hip Hop Miami, where Ray J was on it and it resurfaced, and I'm just like these people have gone. Like these are not the same people that was stroking on that tape long ago.
Jesus.
And stroking.
So why, like, for it to resurface? It's like maybe perhaps people can't grieve because they don't know how to let things go.
Oh, that's a word.
You know what
There's
I'm
a
saying? Like
word.
we keep resurfacing and circling back to the same thing. So you can't grieve properly because you don't know how to let it go. Like it's always raw. It's like you wait till there's a scab and like, knock that thing off and
Also,
make
we
it
can't
raw
grieve
again.
some of these celebrities because they also won't shut up.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
'Cause I was about to say, didn't Ray J, isn't he the reason that is a point of topic again?
No,
No.
technically Kim bought it back
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
on their show.
Okay.
Oh, to that point though, I really want to say real quick, I don't have to find it, but I know Invisibilia podcast again. Really good. They talk about, I think we had talked about this before in another podcast where there was a village that dealt with expectations very differently, right?
Mhm.
Like it was like, oh, okay, you did this. All right, give me a minute and then we good. Like there's no, to Nicole's point, like we keep bringing stuff up because I think that we are not evolving with the people that have had these issues.
Right.
Whereas this culture on the Invisibilia podcast that I talk about, they very much have looked at a thing like, even if I think the thing was that like they were accusing this man of like stealing or either stealing or doing something with the daughter. I can't remember what it was in particular, but there was a guy visiting and he was madder than the family was because they had been like, oh, okay, no, it happened, but we moved on. Like we're still neighbors, we're still friends. Like we are not going to treat him any differently. We understand that this is all a part of who he is. And I think a lot of times what we'll do is be like, well, you know, you did that one thing and that one thing defines who you are the whole entire time. And it's not, and we never allow people to truly evolve. I'm not saying that with R. Kelly and I'm not saying that with Bill Cosby, but I am saying that with like the Kim Kardashian and the Ray J's, right? Like that was a part of their life for sure. Is it the only thing in their life? No.
Yeah. I feel like that, ironically, to your point, is the problem with Kanye. I feel like we didn't have a problem with him, and now watching him evolve and grow and continue to do other things is what makes him problematic.
Right.
And the fact, I don't know, I feel like I just never thought Kanye was going to be anti-Black. I
Agreed.
I'm not shocked that he is problematic.
Yeah.
I'm not. Like that, going on CNN and saying that the president doesn't like Black people, like, you want problems in your life. But
That wasn't CNN. Wasn't that MTV?
MTV.
I don't know.
It's fine.
Whatever.
It's
Okay.
fine. Same thing.
Nationally syndicated show. But like, why are they on MTV talking about? Okay, I don't care. Anyways,
Katrina. It's Katrina. Yeah.
You understand why it's ironic that MTV would be reporting on it? Okay,
It's old
I mean,
MTV.
they were doing a telethon, like a raising.
I understand. That's why I didn't remember.
MTV has
that it was
changed
them.
a lot over
It
the
Yeah,
years.
has.
it has. Okay. Anyways,
Showing our age here.
I feel like that's what makes it really hard. Is that like I just never thought we'd be here with him, and like I do. Like while I also like am bigger into R&B, I tried to listen to my workout playlist the other day, and Kanye is like, I didn't realize it.
He was on Kanye's workout plan.
It's like 60% of it.
Mm.
It's so much of my workout playlist
Yeah.
and from like Dark Twisted Fantasy
Oh my
to
God.
present. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like it in Patrick and I were talking about this a couple of days ago when we were talking about everything with like Tory Lanez and Meg, the new Drake verse, all these things that have happened. And he posed this interesting question. Well, maybe I should wait or let's finish talking about Kanye before I tangent us.
Oh, I mean, I think we've exhausted him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sad. Like I don't feel bad for him anymore. I did feel bad at first. But now I'm just sad that I can't listen to his music like I want to.
Yeah. I'm gonna add one more thing. I think the only reason I don't grieve him that much is because what I'm realizing too, you know, when you get to a certain tax bracket, black people change from being black to being
Republicans.
Yes. Real quick. And some things.
Can we talk about this on a pod? Because like the way capitalism is interwoven into everything and we don't think it is, it's kind of like how slavery is interwoven into everything we don't think it is. It's really
So there's this line. Harry and I were watching. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu, but it's this like docu-series called Crack. And he's a previous drug dealer and he goes, "We were street capitalists." And I'm like, it's not like white people are working on the street for real. So I mean,
can you be a capitalist if you're not paying taxes?
Yeah, because
that's
what all the
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
That's what all of them are doing. What do you mean?
I forgot. You're right. Yes. I'm so sorry. Jesus.
All right, next.
Okay, moving on.
Yes, now we can switch.
I mean, that might be a whole nother conversation. Like,
no, you're right.
Why is capitalism so, like, why are we so susceptible to capitalism? Like, why? Like,
and how is it ingrained in us in ways that we don't realize?
Right. Okay, next.
Okay.
Next pod.
Good. I'm glad we're finally going to talk about that. Okay.
Write it down for forget.
All right.
I got
Hold on. Pause, please. Okay, thank you. Okay. So we were talking about Meg and Tory Lanez and that whole situation, and it brought up this interesting thing because okay, I don't want to sound problematic in saying this because I believe Meg that she got shot. Like the police report or whatever, like leading up to the trial, but allegedly there is no gunshot residue on Tory Lanez from that incident. So while something happened, if it was him, whether they cleaned off his hands, like, I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know how all that shit goes. But Patrick was like, what if after all of this, we learn that it wasn't Tory that shot Meg? Like, does he get, like, what is done to reconstitute Tory from where he was to where he is now if we find out that that is not true? Or that he wasn't the person to do that to Meg?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a level of accountability that has to happen. The reason why, because I've had this, I feel like Kim Jong from Masked Singer, if y'all want to, he goes, and here's why. All right. I actually have thought about this a lot because I like binge watching SVU a lot.
Oh,
so,
same.
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Just come over and sit.
Anytime.
All right.
Wednesday.
So
You weren't invited.
If you don't watch a show, it's Special Victims Unit, and typically it is a crime against
women.
Someone. Whether
it be a forensic scientist about what happened to Meg? Are we about to learn something?
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, I feel
not Nicole Soft
every
case, but
once
the police
in a while. Every once in a while, there's an episode where it's like the Boy Who Cries Wolf type thing, where they say that something happened to them. They know it's not true, but they say it anyway. They end up winning, and then they throw in that reasonable doubt thing, like, well, maybe I did type, snarky thing. And I'm just like, I feel like it still shouldn't go unpunished. I feel if it does come out, there needs to be some type of a formal broadcasted something of at bare minimum an apology, because
for who can you talk about who should be apologizing to who?
If that was to come out and they realize that maybe Meg was lying and Tory is not the one that shot her, or maybe she did get shot, but it was somebody else, then I would probably expect her to come on air somewhere or everywhere and be like, I apologize. You need to go on your Twitter and be like, I apologize. I drugged this man and I was misinformed, or I lied, and I need to pay the consequences for that. And then that is me publicly apologizing to this individual and the people that it impacted. Then that's what I need to do. If y'all feel a certain way about me, then I'm going to have to deal with my consequences, my actions. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like this conversation.
I have feelings.
Me too.
Me too. I don't like this, actually.
But mainly this. if he has not done it,
right?
If.
If.
Large if. Large.
Why are you keeping up this street credo of like
Again?
not-
You gotta stop.
Again?
No, you
No,
just.
it's just so inappropriate still. Apologize.
No,
Apologize to the people. Apologize.
no, it wasn't in.
Not you being
Okay,
Trey.
never mind. Okay, maybe I used it in the wrong context, but it was.
We gotta put another sound over the gun
Yes.
cup.
We should. Maybe we should just reconfigure the soundboard. Anyway, I'm sorry.
What
That
I was
was
going to
my
say
not-
is
my
the
intention.
street credo of not saying who
Jesus.
it was. You have had over a year and some change to say who it was if it wasn't you. So you ain't said
Tori?
Tory. And I don't care. Look at here. I don't care.
Niggas is not snitching.
Exactly, but that's stupid.
I'm not saying it's not, but niggas
saying
are not
it's
snitching.
But he's also said a lot. If he didn't do, he said he hasn't done it.
Yeah.
he
But
said a
ain't
lot.
said nothing about who it was.
That's not like for public consumption, especially with
Okay.
an open case. But I also think that.
whatever.
Side note.
He said a lot of other stuff.
But there's
Right.
Patrick, we don't care what you have to say. Okay, you stay over there.
Side note, can I also say this? My gun cock was for what Messiah was about to say, not for the act.
We know, but we still don't use no sis. No,
I just
don't
want
use
our
it.
viewers to know what it was for because y'all are listening.
No, my biggest thing is this. Early on, we're not even talking about the case. We're talking about police show up to the scene
With the gangster?
with the gangster lane. Police come up to the scene. Meg is hobbling. Other people are scrambling.
She a G.
Right. Well, whatever. At that moment, you have full opportunity to say what happened. Then after that, shut up. You have full. People talk
Not
about
if the
street.
person is next to you because maybe you don't feel comfortable.
Well, that's fine.
Oh,
Wait. Who are we talking about? Tori or Megan?
Tory.
But also, that's not legally what you would be advised to do either. So, like,
Why not?
your lawyer's going to be like, don't speak.
Yeah.
Because cops can't be trusted.
For a ton of reasons. Because you're a black man as the cops. There are a litany of reasons why you would just
Whatever.
not say anything.
It wasn't me, and there was them
a
over
list that
there.
can go
I'm
on
pretty
for
sure
hours
you-
and hours.
I'm pretty sure you said that.
I'm snitching. I'm gonna tell you right
well,
now.
with all the
Yeah.
gunshots
Well,
happening
even in
in
the
the black
moment-
rapper community, I don't
even
know
in
that
the
I would be
moment-
snitching.
But
It
even in the
wasn't me.
moment, the victim in this whole situation, Meg, lied about what happened
so
because
that's
she
what
was
I was gonna
scared
say.
about
I ain't
everything
worried
that's
about all
happening
that.
in the world
and trying to protect him.
and herself because she
Allegedly.
was scared.
Allegedly.
You know what I mean? Like, so a lot of people lied that night,
Right.
including Megan and I guess whoever else was on the scene. Like, no one told the truth. The truth didn't come out until later. Well,
Right.
whoever's truth it was,
We still don't know.
Right.
it didn't
May
come
not.
out. The story didn't come out until he was.
I heard what she
doing a
said,
lot.
but I still
Yeah.
don't agree with that either. So I mean, I've said my piece.
Okay, well, you have. We understand your perspective on the situation
I'm
loud
snitching.
and clear. Okay, I as a snitch. We got it.
So in other words, everybody was wrong.
Patrick,
Okay,
do you
but-
want to come on and say your piece because you were adamantly over there
Waving hands,
waving hands and shaking your
Go
head?
ahead.
Okay.
Okay. I think that the other aspect.
She know what it is.
All right. What does Patrick want to say, Tiff?
Well, I mean, no. We were
Not speaking on behalf of y'all.
I'm not speaking on behalf of Patrick because we were arguing about it. So like we don't share the same perspective, to be clear. But actually, he just posed the question. Like he's not saying that he's right or wrong
Yeah.
or she's lying or not. He was just posing the question of what if, and which I
Yeah.
think is fair.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that the thing to me that I said in this conversation is I wouldn't feel bad. And here's why.
About what?
About if Meg lied and Tory did not shoot her and his career has tanked as a result of this situation.
Okay.
And as a person who listened to Chicks tapes, like was like on the Tory wave, it hurt me a little bit to have to not listen to his music anymore. And now I don't care so far after the fact. But there have been a number of situations where Tory has shown us who Tory is outside of this specific situation.
Well,
And so if what has happened is that this situation, that if it turns out that it is not true, prevented us from him being at R. Kelly level before we found out who he was, is the reason that he doesn't reach that pinnacle. That
Yeah. I
so
also
you're saying that you helped him, that we helped him by
not be a predator.
yeah.
I also don't.
Fair.
I'm
That's
also
interesting.
this whole situation too. We're on a whole nother topic at this
Yep.
point.
Mhm.
I also don't. I just don't
I'm gonna
like.
bring us back.
I just don't like that she's being questioned so much. She is a victim in this whole situation, and not necessarily your question that you've posed, because I know it's a hypothetical, but just in general, I just hate how she's being questioned.
But you're also like, I don't understand why she went on that. Who's Oprah's best friend? Show?
Gail,
Yeah. Why she went on Gail's show? Like, I don't.
not Oprah's best.
I don't think that See, I hate the question of were you guys sexually involved?
Yeah, because that doesn't matter.
What does that matter?
Exactly.
Right.
It has nothing to do with whether or not he shot her. And I think that that's fucked up. But why go on that show?
Was she even allowed to? That was my question.
Apparently, because she did it.
I don't know if it was because he's been saying a lot, and so she finally felt like I need to speak
Get on
my
one plan for her.
speak
I
my
also
truth.
feel like there's something to
I
be
don't
said
know.
in the silence.
I
Like,
also just feel like it hurt her. It made it feel like it. She's like, she's like, what do you mean by like, that's the clip that went rounds, right?
Mhm.
Like her saying that they didn't smash and she was confused by the question initially when everyone knew what Gail was asking her. So like, that's why I'm like, what purpose did it serve? Like he has to be convicted in the court of law and
Not you.
yeah. And like, no, this isn't going to change anybody's mind. Whoever believed you, whoever didn't. And this interview is not going to really like make more people believe you. All it did to me was hurt her credibility.
Yeah, that's fair.
Her team, I think.
To answer the question, I think at the end of the day, anyone who has been wrongly accused, excuse me,
autocorrect.
Yes, is because like I would think, I feel like being wrongly accused requires those who have done the accusing, but also those who have felt like putting a knee on somebody, behind that, do need to make apology and own it. Because I think that regardless of anything, if we've all been in positions where like we have believed one person's word, and whether or not it was true or not, we believed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just the word that we've changed the way we acted, maybe because of that scenario. But that doesn't mean that when we find out, if we have ever found out we're wrong, but once we find out we are wrong, that you don't have to use that same energy. Like if you're going to put this energy in to like punish somebody, then you ought to have the same energy to be able to say, I'm sorry, to rebuild and repair the relationship personally within the rest of us. I don't think unless you want to listen to his music, and I never did, so it didn't matter to me one way or another. But I think Meg, at least, right, needs to put forth the same amount of energy she put out in accusing. If that means going to do Gail again, if that means, getting on her Twitter or whatever and saying I'm sorry. But like that, to me, in the least, yes, for sure needs to happen, because changing people's lives based on falsehoods is just a wrong thing. Yeah. And I don't know that it won't rectify anything for sure, but at least you have to put the same energy. I think bare minimum, you have the same energy.
I mean, him being a black man, like I want to be like, yes, he should apologize. Her being a black woman.
Who sent that thing with the I don't know if it was on the 6 brown girls thing where like the girl found out her cousin lied about her man raping her, and only because she couldn't
I'm going to
afford.
jail. I'm going straight to jail. I'm not collecting $200. I'm not passing go.
So the whole story was there was a girl and her cousin. So cousin told girl A that her fiance raped her, and they were living together.
Everybody was living together.
Everyone was living together. So girl A dumped her fiance. He moved on.
She accused him. He denied it. They broke up. So then girl A and cousin meet, and cousin's like, oh, I lied because I needed half of the rent. And homeboy is now engaged to somebody or married to somebody else.
Yeah, with another relationship.
No, I'm going to jail.
What? First of all, why would the cousin lie?
She needed to afford rent.
She just said she couldn't afford rent by herself.
Why not just say that?
Can we drag the cousin? Like, did she get her ass beat?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, yeah.
I don't know if
She should have.
She should have.
Yeah, she absolutely should have.
Fully should have. Wholeheartedly.
Again,
Like,
same energy.
not even just because
Now, in that
like,
situation,
I done lost my man. It's like, why lie about something like that?
I agree. I hate when people are falsely accused. But
Yeah.
I'm on the fence with this one. I just hate that she's being questioned.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
I agree.
Don't like it at all.
Okay, I'm going to bring us back to our topic at hand with a new scenario.
Okay.
Because I feel like even in our personal anecdotes, we talked a lot about like relationships that we grieved where we were wronged. But I have one where I was the wrong person.
Wow.
Oh, look at growth.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Wow, toxic. Hey. Wow, these are my friends.
Hold on, wait.
This is the best you
I
could
wonder
do.
how many anecdotes we can come up per person. It's probably plenty. Go ahead.
Okay, wow. Anyway,
Yikes.
okay, so this train of thought started because I saw this TikTok that was like it was like this person getting ready to go out, and it's like me getting ready to go out with my best friend, knowing I'm the side character on today's episode because their friend is the main character. Anyway, so it made me think about like different roles that we play in different people's lives and how like you're the main character in your life at all times.
Mhm.
But depending on like where you were in your stage of growth or like who you were that day, for some people, you're the fucking villain. And you can be a villain in their story for a long amount of time, depending on the damage that you caused.
Mhm.
And I know that I was a villain in someone's life for quite some time. And I hate that for me. And I hate that for her because I actually had like a lot of respect for her. And it was like it was a situation born out of like nothing to do with her and everything to do with her because my actions were just a reflection of like my self-esteem at the time. And so it just was like not a personal infraction on her, but there was a third party that I was involved with that I shouldn't have been if my respect for her had been more than my lack of love for self.
Oh yeah, we talked about this, right?
We did.
Yes.
But you never apologized to her, right?
No, but before my wedding, she reached out to me on social media, and I was like, I like saw the DM from her, and I was like, it took me to like 2 hours to read it because I was like, is she about to fuck my day up? Like, is today the day where she just like reads me my rights?
Can I take this?
Like,
Can I take this?
tells me about myself. So I just was like, okay, I like need to make sure that I'm like in a like mental space where I can like read this. And it just was like, it was the opposite of anything I expected. It was so nice.
Aww.
It was like, am I gonna cry? No, I'm not. I'm sober. Great. Okay.
I'm sick. I'm sick.
Wow, when being sober comes in handy. Weird.
She just was like, I saw that you like are getting married and I saw your like bachelorette party and your like wedding shower. And I'm so happy that you're happy. Love looks great on you. And like, I hope nothing but the best for you. And I was just like,
that was sweet.
Wow. And I have been like, periodically, you know how your brain does that thing where it's like when you're going to sleep, it reminds you of all like the 12 ways that you went wrong since you were 22.
Yes.
So that was happening to me, and that is a frequent one that comes up. So for years, I just like knew that she hated me and we were never going to talk again. And if we were like in the same room again, that I was just going to have to like get the balls to apologize and like just be a straight shooter to show her that like I really respected her. And she did it for me instead. And so like I've like spent years like grieving like these relationships as a byproduct of this wrong. And those relationships will like never like come, like there just isn't like, we're not in the same place in life. Right. Yeah. So like those relationships aren't going to come back, not necessarily because we haven't grown, but just because there's not opportunities for those relationships to come back. Right. But like, just like knowing that like that person that I actually wronged was able to be nice to me, you know, even like through my wrongdoing and like reached out to me just to express love was like something I don't feel like I deserved, but was very grateful to have.
How'd you respond?
Like literally or like mentally?
Literally?
Okay. No, I was just like, oh, thank you. You know, thank you. It's like so good to hear from you. She recently had a baby. So I like reached out to her and was like, I'm so happy for you. Like she's beautiful. I'm so happy she, you know, is like good and healthy. So like there's like a little bit of like social media interaction, but
do you still feel like there's like an elephant in the room? Like, do you ever feel like you'll apologize? Do you think that ship has sailed?
It's not necessarily, well, it's sailed. Like she's happily, like life has gone on. Like it's been over a decade since like what happened. But like, I think that like if the opportunity I felt like presented itself, I definitely would. But it's not something that's going to happen over like, hey, I saw this ad on Instagram and it reminded me that I should apologize to you. Like, no, it's going to have to be like, we happen to be in the same room. There is a quiet moment and there is like enough of a like in-person rapport to have that conversation.
I definitely would have been like that future meme. So I saw.
That tracks.
Yeah, that would have been me.
But
proud of you.
I think that, but I.
Well, her.
Yes. So proud of you. Thanks, sis. But that's interesting that you brought that up though, because it makes me also think about like where people are, right? Like where you are in your own like personal growth. You literally have to like, sometimes you have to, like, I remember when we talked about that, and then I also brought up like some people I know I wronged, and I'm definitely a villain. I'm sure a small part, but whatever, maybe large. But I definitely had a moment where I had to carve out something for me. And I realized the way in which my life was going, I had to put a full stop on something to do something else. And that was just what I recognized. I recognized that what was happening over here wasn't serving me anymore. And I needed to. So of course, it didn't go smoothly. Whatever. I'm not proud of that moment. I'm not, but it was something I had to do for me. Like I needed to. And the only way I knew how to do it wasn't pretty. Right. Like it just wasn't, I knew that I needed like a different circle of friends. I needed a different circumstance in my life. I was choosing to fully be okay with who I was. And that required cleaving some people. And the only way I knew how to do it was just really messed up.
Butcher knife?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just like, and it wasn't, it just, I couldn't, I don't know if you've ever felt like suffocated, but I just felt like I'm suffocating in this.
Yes.
And I just cannot be in this anymore. And I really needed to cleave. And I know that day I, hurt some people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's not much because it was one of those things where like life went on.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, like, I don't know how, I think there's going to be a villain in everybody's case. It may not be on Kanye level, but you're going to definitely, I feel like there's going to be just like, someone's going to be a villain at any point in time. And I grieved that relationship, but also knew I needed that.
Yeah.
Like I just needed it. And there was no way to do it in my mind, in a young mind at that, right? Like I was in high school. So in my mind, it was like, no, you got to cut everything out. Just like start it all over.
That's what I think is interesting too about the point that you made that like people are who they are, but like for us, the mask drops.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that sometimes that's true, but I think other times it's like who we have in our memory of who a person was, like we don't know them anymore.
Yeah.
So like the growth that they've done, the things that they have gone on to grow through, like can be completely different than who you think that you would be apologizing to now, and who you would think you would be having that conversation with now too,
Yeah. No, that's real.
Well, if you're looking at it from the perspective of like moments where you're the villain, I'm sure there's been many moments where...
Are you about to give us a sarcastic scenario like you've never been the villain before?
No.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know where we were
I was
going.
literally about to say many moments where I've been the villain.
I was just recalling all the times that we've been terrible and toxic.
Just one. Like, you only need one. How many times do you have?
I feel like there's also something freeing from it, but I'm sure,
Freeing from being the villain?
No.
Oh, I'm trying to
Being
understand. It was a genuine question.
Like, I guess freeing from like recognizing and understanding that there's times where you're not your best too.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
real.
Giving yourself grace,
Yeah.
but not too much.
Not too much. Because I know for me, a lot of times I say things very matter of factly, and I've been told that it can hurt people's feelings, and then my response is,
Wait, are you taking ownership in this moment?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've been told it's just, if I hurt your feelings.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I've been told, and I recognize
Okay.
also that a lot of times I can say things and it will hurt people's feelings. And
Same
most of the time it's not my intention. Sometimes, yes.
That's why I be
Depending on the
quiet.
day. Depending on
And
the
I'm
day.
working through that too. And well, is it? Because I'm working through that too. Because then I learned that stonewalling is also not what you're supposed to do.
I don't know.
Like shit.
If I said something disrespectful, I meant it, but
Lose.
I would probably be sorry later.
Probably.
There's not a lot of instances.
I might.
Typically, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say for the most
All
part.
the time.
Deal with
But
it.
I also recognize, especially now in this moment, they're having this conversation, that I see where I can be problematic and even a villain in times. And I apologize to y'all because I'm sure I've done it to y'all several times enough.
I don't want you
Nothing's
to
coming
apologize
to
unless
mind.
you know what you did.
Yeah. No blanket apologies here, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, won't need any blanket apologies. But I'm sure I've been that. But if I didn't realize it, because it truly wasn't my intention to hurt people, and
Right.
I'm sure there's lots of instances where people say things or do things, and it truly wasn't their intention, and they don't realize that they did it.
Right.
So my question is, so how do you work through that?
First of all, before I answer your question, I'm disappointed that you're example of you being the villain is you not intentionally trying to hurt anybody's feelings. So go ahead.
Because sometimes you can be the villain and not mean to hurt people's feelings.
Okay.
So that's my question is how do you deal with that? So
Which part?
how do you, I guess, grieve that process or get through that process when
Of not knowing that you're the villain?
Yeah, but
then finding out you are the villain?
I mean, when people make blanket statements like, yeah, sometimes what you say may hurt people's feelings, but they don't ever go into detail of what it is.
Like someone has said to you, you've hurt people's feelings, but you don't know specifics of when it happened.
Well, no, because most of the time people think I'm lovable and I'm not.
I'm confused by your question.
Yeah, but I need another question.
I guess I'm just...
And you are. So also unlearn that, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess...
Who told you that you're the villain?
Nobody told me I'm the villain, but I'm thinking of her concept where she's like times
trying
where...
to come up with an example for herself is what's happening.
I'm not trying to come up with an example, but I know that sometimes I can be very short.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, example. Because I told my family I was going to talk about them much on my podcast. But like my sister came to me.
Here we go. You being toxic and problematic.
Yes.
Well, no, because this is a good example.
Get the
My
gun cock
sister
again.
asked me one day, because I guess I said something to her that offended her. Like, I'm like, I just need space and I need time away from y'all niggas. Is probably what I said.
Fair.
And
So you're Kourtney Kardashian.
yeah, probably. And she was like, does it bother you that I'm here? And I'm like, no, it doesn't bother me. And in the moment, I did feel villainous. Like, I'm like horns are out and I'm like, I don't like that. But that's not what I was saying to her. It wasn't that I don't like y'all. I said, my introverted self doesn't have the bandwidth to converse all the time.
That's not being a villain, though. That's setting a boundary.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you hurt her feelings.
Right.
And so you have
Okay.
to recognize that while your intention was not bad,
Fair.
you still hurt her feelings.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
So what's the question as a result?
So I'm like, so how as the villain, like, do you expect them to grieve? Like,
I think it's
we're
two
talking
parts.
about
Yeah, it's definitely two
grieving
parts.
someone you know, right?
Yeah.
And now you're perceived as the villain. It may not be over an extended period of time, but in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't
Okay.
think that's grieving because
Yeah.
I think you can say something that hurts someone's feelings, but they're not grieving you as a
Okay.
whole. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like in this moment, you hurt my feelings.
But it can be, and I'm not saying that this is what happened, but
Right.
it can be like, I thought we were like X. I thought our relationship was like X. Because I'm, as a person who is an extroverted introvert, like I can hang out with y'all all day, 24/7, and not feel like I need to recharge my social battery. I know that may not be true for the both of y'all, and I accept that as
I was looking at the
as a
correlate.
friend of yours.
Wait, did you see my eyes? Give it like
All day? All day? Every day?
Not you crying at the prospect of hanging out with us 24/7. Wow. All right. See, now I'm grieving our friendship that I thought we had. So let me answer it from my perspective.
Yikes.
There are some people where I don't need to recharge my
God.
battery because I don't have to put on a mask for them.
Yeah.
So like I can see like where when you're not a personality that needs alone time, like specifically, like it's like me hanging out with Patrick. Me hanging out with Patrick is the same as me being alone. To me, it's not like I don't need to like recharge from that.
Right.
So if that is not your personality, if that is not like how you operate in your relationships, I can see where that may come across as, oh, I didn't know that I was someone that you felt like you needed to recharge from.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that we were in a space where like I was kind of beyond that with you.
Right.
And that can be like what you may need to grieve, like in that
Okay.
sense. And I'm not saying that that's what happened.
yeah.
I'm just explaining that that is an aspect where
also-
you're not
right.
grieving the person, but you can be grieving that piece of it.
That was
Okay.
that piece also that I was talking about earlier where like you've spent so much time with, especially family members, right? Like
Right.
where you have spent so much time.
This is why you
Not
can't
my
talk.
family.
Also, this is why you can't talk about them.
Not my family. I'm just saying the concept of
Yes.
family.
You've spent so much time, you know, learning and being in that space with them. And then when you're starting to know yourself and
Mhm.
recognize within your own self that some of these things aren't serving you, right? Like
Right.
you've grown up together with them, but that doesn't mean that everything that they do serves you in the way that you need to be served. And so as you are starting to grow and you're starting to learn about yourself, some things you're going to have to put boundaries up, right? Like I'm learning that even with my family members, like, okay, we're going to have to work through this right here because this is it's just not going to happen no more. So how are we going to fix that? Or like in saying like, I still love you, but the ways in which we have operated never served me in the ways that they've served you. So maybe we need to figure out how we move forward, still in love.
Mutually.
Yes. But like, I need this boundary because these are the things that I need from me. Not saying that I don't love you, but this is a boundary that I now have. And how do we navigate it moving forward? Because I've never had maybe the tool to tell you what I needed before. But now that I've found my tools, I need you to be okay with where I'm at now so that we can change the relationship to move into something else. And that's going to be hard, right?
Yeah.
Like regardless of sister, any family relationship. And when you pick up tools to learn a boundary, there's like, not saying that that's when it's going to happen, but it's just rough, right? It's because the relationship changes. But I feel like
you've changed.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, I have. And so it's not a love loss. I just know that I need something different. And if the ways in which I'm asking for it may not be right. So let's sit down. Let's talk about it. This is what I'm like. This is how I'm feeling about this. This is what I need. And it may not stay the same, but for right now, this is what I need.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say, and also like, because I'm like you, like sometimes how I say things is not how I meant them. And I don't realize that I said it so curtly or aggressively until I see someone's face change. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me. And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me rephrase how I'm saying that. So I think while boundaries are important, you have to establish them. Sometimes you have to rephrase or think, you have to put their feelings also matter.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like your boundaries are important and you should establish them and you should stand firm on them. But we also have to be cognizant of how other people are going to receive
for sure.
what you're saying and making sure that you're saying them in love.
Well, see, that's the thing that I will say too. I think that a lot of times what is said is interpreted differently by other people. So like, it could be that your sister heard, even though you were saying, oh, I'm putting up a boundary and curtly or not, she heard, I don't love you anymore and I don't want to be around you.
Get out.
Right?
Oh,
right.
I thought you were going to be like, she heard, get away from me for right now. That was very different.
Yeah. Well, no, because so it's
That's
interesting because I don't know. Fair. I read the Kev on Stage and his wife's like marriage book.
Okay.
And the thing that I found that was very interesting.
Me
They were just on Shan Booty's podcast.
They were.
Podcast.
It was
good.
good.
It was good. Oh, good. I was going to send it to you.
But being a non-married person, I was like, this is very interesting because a lot of what they were saying was like, you can say something and the way in which somebody else interprets it is completely like Kev said repeatedly for different things that what he heard was every time she said something was, you're a horrible lover and I can't wait to marry somebody else and be somewhere else.
She was like, pick up your dirty drawers off the floor.
Exactly. And what he heard is something very different, right?
Wow.
And
wow.
But her setting boundaries for the things that she wanted, the way in which she communicated it, he had to go back and be like, what did she say? Not how I felt about what she said.
Or what I heard was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, using that tool. So that, and because you're setting a boundary or we're setting a boundary with our family members, what they have heard, no matter if you've written it out, no matter if you've tried it in your best tone, can still be felt in a different way.
And you might have to, honestly.
Right.
Like,
I mean, we could probably apply that to anything.
Yeah.
It's not just that. Yeah. I'm speaking
about
what you're
personal.
saying and what I heard was, and going back, repeating what you heard and then having that conversation.
It'll be interesting to see. But then that sometimes can devolve the whole conversation into like, no, that's not what I said. What I said was, and then you don't actually get to the point.
Literally. So, I mean, we're talking,
that happen.
It can be in your family relationships, in your, I know with Harry, sometimes I say things and like immediately I'm like, who hurt you? Tell me who hurt you, because
this time I have nothing to do with me.
You are getting defensive, and all I asked you was, what do you want to eat tonight? That's all I asked you. I asked you, and what I said was that you didn't like what I cooked yesterday. You didn't feel like eating the leftovers. And so now, well, then what do you want? And now you're mad. For what? Because you're empty. You're hungry. And I'm just trying to feed you. Like,
Yeah, I have to do. Sometimes I'll say things. Well, I already said this. Never mind. I'm gonna go back.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just like when I say something like I notice someone's face change. I'm like, oh, so like I understand that my tone was off.
You immediately say that.
Sometimes, unless I meant it how I said it, right? So like if I meant to say
you caught all that. Okay.
if I meant to say it's spicy,
Then you would just watch their face change like,
yeah. That's what I meant to say.
You know?
But if your face changes and I don't realize, I'm like, oh, I apologize. My tone was not how I meant
that's
it.
growth. All in it.
You're right. It is. Now it doesn't happen all the time.
I mean,
Because sometimes I'm
The
standing
correlation
firm.
is correlating.
Yeah, like I meant to be disrespectful in this moment, to be clear. But sometimes I don't.
The fact that you have to put a qualifier the times you don't, because every other time it's like,
Well, listen, I'm growing. I'm not.
you haven't reached the
Yeah, I
peak yet.
haven't reached my pinnacle of my peak.
I'm not grown.
We're ascending.
Growing.
Growing. To be clear.
all
All right.
good.
I appreciate
Okay.
this conversation.
Yeah, it was
Dang.
good.
That was good.
Any other villain stories? That was fun for me.
What's it?
No, I apologize to all the people.
No blanket statements here. No.
Way to bring it back. Way to bring it back.
I knew it.
No. You grieve by yourself.
That's funny.
I'm open to the conversation, I think.
You think?
Like if I've wronged someone,
No.
I'm open, I think, to having the conversation to talk through it.
You know, I'm open. Period.
Now, if you come to me and I'm clearly not, then
yeah.
might
You
gotta
told
wait.
them that you are. So which is it?
What is it?
I don't know. I'm
Issue
just
is
saying.
the issue.
I said I think.
Okay.
So there's
This
a
is why I
possibility
said-
that I'm not.
This is why I said earlier, like, when I'm ready to, I'd have to know when I'm ready to have the conversation.
But you just have to know
Right.
that you did it.
Right. But,
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what
But-
the conversation shows you.
right. And that's
Yeah.
my thing. So, like, if I'm at a point where with someone and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but clearly there's something going on, it very well could be me. I need to be prepared for it possibly being me.
It
And I'm-
definitely being you.
Right. Yeah. Or definitely being me. Right. And I'm not going to approach that situation before I'm ready. Because
Fair.
if I'm not ready to receive, oh, you're going to get a
Yeah.
lot back. Oh, what you said?
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
I'm just
Besides, like I'm gonna make it worse.
Yes.
Violence.
I already know that I'm going to make it worse. So I'm going to try to be in a better space. Because that's real. I feel like you can't receive something when you're not in the place to receive it.
Yeah, but what
Yeah.
if you just decide you're never ready?
You might not ever be. And that's
That's
and
them
then,
people.
Then you don't have the relationship anymore.
So what I'm hearing is asking Sarah a question. Sounds like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Could be, depending.
Like, are you in a space to receive this right now?
Right.
And I'll be honest,
Side-
like,
Yep.
And so what else do you have to say?
Apparently,
Right.
y'all don't even have to have the gun cock before y'all blasting off.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not really.
Yeah, I'm
I'm not
reformed.
really a gun
Unintentional.
cock. I'm more like a landmine type situation.
Oh,
Wow. That escalated.
You know.
Quickly.
Be
But
careful. what you
I will
say.
say this: even while I'm in a space where I'm open to receive, like period. Like if people feel like I've wronged them, just come talk to me about it.
Just be prepared to step on this landmine.
Right.
No, I mean I'm not in landmine field from that. I'm just saying like
Like in a
my
response.
general personality is landmine. What I'm
Throw
saying
some
is
out there,
I'm
see what
putting that
happens.
aside.
Oh,
None of this
Being
feels-
open to receive if somebody
None of this feels
feels
like a welcoming conversation.
That's what.
Every time you talk about your personality, I just be thankful I know you the way that I do because I never receive any of that.
Well, that's because I
I love you too.
try not to rude.
I think I'm a reformed landmine.
Mm.
Oh, that
So
okay.
you're deactivated.
Yeah, I think that's
Mm.
why I stonewall now because I know how reckless my mouth can be.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's
so I
real.
just like decide
Mm-hmm.
we're just not going to choose
Oh.
violence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
I feel that. I feel like that I'm that way now a lot too, where I just won't say anything. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
and that's usually meaning like we need to, like one of us needs to exit, right? Like I'm giving you the opportunity,
I'm giving you this
Come on.
out.
yeah, to end this
Walk away.
conversation. But if you stay, I
Oh,
cannot guarantee.
bets are off.
Yeah, and a lot of times I will try and leave.
Yeah.
Like I'll leave or
You
I'll end
need
the
to
conversation. I will definitely try and leave. But I do feel like I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, see,
Because
that's
I feel
what I was
like
about to
because
just
at
say
some
that same
point
thing.
we're gonna see each other again,
Oh,
and
see-
you're gonna say something, and I'm going to bring up every single thing that pissed me off in the past year. in one moment.
Okay, but
do you remember that one time?
they're gonna be like, no, it's 366 days ago. I know.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, that happened. I'm like, yeah, it did. So back to the time you pissed me off, my mental Rolodex.
This is gonna go well into the tangent. My thing, I think, is learning that while not being reckless at the mouth is beneficial, stonewalling and or exiting can also trigger traumas. So like it can also be just as damaging for other people rather than getting your shit off right in the moment.
Yeah, what's the middle ground?
That's me. I want to talk about it right now.
I need to be drawn out.
Yeah, no. If you want to wait or you walk away, I'm okay. So this might be a little toxic because when Harry and I are having conflict, I wait until we're in the car together because where you gonna go? We're going to talk about it.
Oh, see, I would just never get in the car with you. I'm walking or biking everywhere.
That's probably why he does that.
Because what we're not going to do is get stuck.
Man healthy by having a toxic situation.
But I also don't know what's so is the middle ground like waiting until you're both ready, which could never happen?
Well, that's what I try to do. My therapist is like, I talk about this about my therapist a lot, but it's not really working because I still do it. I don't know if it's a therapist.
Not your co-pay being like,
I don't know if it's a therapist or it's me or if I need new tools.
Sounds like you.
She's like, being assertive isn't being aggressive. Like you can like talk about your like feelings like in the moment without being aggressive. And I'm like, yeah, but what you don't understand is like what my brain is telling me to do is not what I want to have as an option. And there is no second option. The other option is to walk away. So like I'm trying to like literally formulate new pathways in my brain to give me a third option when I'm angry. But when I'm angry, it doesn't work like that. No. It's easy to think about it like when I'm like chill and I'm like, okay, I could have handled that better. Here's some things I could have done. Those pathways are not open when I'm mad.
All the exits closed. There's only one where we're going.
But so like how in the moment do I create that?
Honestly, when I'm like Carol, I'll give people the opportunity to exit themselves. Like it's like I will.
You just said you don't.
No, I do.
Lock the car door.
But when you step on the landmine, it's done. Like I will give you pathways around the landmine in a different direction, or I'll give you a warning that the landmine is right here. But when you step on it, then it's over.
Wait, so why do none of us have productive advice right now?
I don't know.
Do you?
No, because I have productive advice.
No, you don't.
Seek your therapist at all times. Please make sure you seek therapy.
There it is.
In this moment, I know that I'm in therapy. I'm not going to speak for everybody else.
Also in
sitting here.
Therapy.
But it can work. You just have to keep at it.
Yes.
So don't just go to your first session thinking you're going to be fixed because that's not realistic.
You don't even know if you like that person after the first session.
There's the positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say go seek your therapist. And if you don't have one, there are tools and resources for you to find.
Amen.
I think, honestly, I think it just is growth.
That took a lot out of you.
Like, I am ready to nap.
Not you giving me like good positive advice, but like,
for once. Took a lot out of me. I told him to vote. I told him to go to therapy. You hit your quotas today.
Everything I
told him to like and subscribe.
Right, like
Jesus Christ. You are 3 for 3.
Right, let's cut this off right now.
Sorry. What were you saying?
No, I just think that I think that you have to know your own self. And if you know yourself is like, it's 0 to 100, then maybe you'll eventually get to the point where the therapist is, you remember what the therapist says and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to be able to speak to this part, but not all of it. Because if I got to all of it, it's going to do more than it needs to do. But I very much I'm a let me get my head together first person, because if you don't, I'm going to say something you don't like. And I've been in those situations where I've been very hurtful because I'm pissed. And I'm like, I've gotten better about holding my tongue, not even holding my tongue, but just being like, okay, look, we're not going to see eye to eye. So let's pause this until I need a moment to just get away.
And you can verbalize that?
Sometimes I can. Sometimes, yeah. I've been in a situation where now, like Nicole, other people have been like, you just walked away. I was like, no, I told you.
Actually saved your life.
I told you I needed a moment. Now, you wanting to run up on here, it's going to give you something you don't want. So I have gotten to that point, but I still am working on okay, now I'm like, as soon as you bring it up, I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
I ain't there. Because that's that piece of like, you're going to get something that I'm not going to be able to come back from.
Yeah.
Because I don't play fair when I use.
Can we also say that sometimes snapping like helps?
I mean, it feels
It
good.
does feel.
No,
it feels
how do you mean?
I feel like
No. It's helpful. Explain it.
well, like for the most part, like we were all taught to respect our elders,
Yeah.
right? So we all know that there's these older Black people that can say
Say
things.
some
They don't
things.
always think about what they just say whatever they want to say,
Mhm.
whether it's hurtful or not. And most of the time, I will let it slide, right? There's at some point though, I've snapped on a couple of elders in my life. And now they leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I just feel like I had to do it one good time for them to realize that you should stop. And so now we don't have an issue.
See that this is
And I don't know if they feel healthy about our relationship.
I don't know.
about
it.
So this is your villain story.
Right,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So
I mean,
I would
they
say
deserved
that
it, to
I've
be
had
clear.
moments like that, but it's not a snap; it's a redirect.
Okay.
That's gonna
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my niece told me just the other day. She was like, "You are the queen of redirection. Just swerve somebody all the time." But I think
Does that mean you don't address what they said to you?
Yeah, I need you to
I mean, in some instances, it's not necessarily. It's probably the snarky part of me that says something back that's very strategic and very well said.
Can you give
to a
an
point
example?
Where there's been so many instances. I'm just trying to think of one that.
Like,
I mean, it
don't
hasn't
name
happened
names.
recently because we haven't been outside.
when you say
but-
redirect, are you redirecting the conversation or
Can
like
I give an example?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, because I was going to say this is the benefit of being Willie Brown's daughter, is that there's two
Oh, really?
ways that I do it. Is that one, it's like if I've been affronted in a way that was not okay, it is often and that usually is like makes them. I hit a boundary without me having to like verbally express that or having to like disrespect an elder. But there's another way too that I found is helpful is that sometimes when you say what they said back in question form to them,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, are you talking about my hair? Oh, are you talking about my clothes?
Yeah.
Like it, even just like the inflection of like what you say or like how you're saying it, like
Right.
sometimes it like does enough for them to realize like, oh, I fucked up like, in a way. Cause sometimes in those, like there is no, the questions where there is no right answer because they know that the right answer is rude
Yeah.
will like put it back in their face.
Okay.
I would say something like that.
Put that in
I mean, but again, it depends on the situation, right? Because I feel like in some cases, and I mean, we all know most of the time it's at church when one of the older folks come to you and say something out of pocket. And then you're like, I'm an adult now. And what we not fitting to do is that right there. And sometimes I'll say it just like that, right?
Mhm.
But I'll say it in some way, I say it with a smile. And someone else has even told me, like, Nicole, some people will say the same thing to you that they say to me. And I'm like, but it's how you respond.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
It's all in how you respond. And it either causes them to, because if you feel their fire,
Mhm.
then they're just going to come back out with you. But if you,
I'm not Carol, apparently.
Well, it depends because sometimes, like, if someone asks me, like, in situations where I can't snap because how I act is going to damage other relationships, like at
Mhm.
church, I feel like I can't snap because if I snap, then you're gonna come at my parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I try not to. But so now, then I usually just respond with something really out of pocket that makes you feel as uncomfortable as I feel.
Yeah.
It's like people, like, for example, I'm getting a lot of, oh, when are you gonna have another baby? So typically I'll be like, when my birth control fails. And then they'll be like,
I love
like,
it.
if you want to
I'm
be,
here
if
for it.
I'm going to be uncomfortable, so are you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
where we
I'm
at?
mad at it.
Where are we at?
I like it.
And so usually they're like, and then, you know, then the conversation's like,
But see,
then it
that's a
ends.
different form of redirection.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It just, yeah. I'm here for it.
Carol
I
way.
would use it.
I usually just ask if it. Did you think about that?
Before you
You
ask
said
it,
before you.
like, we're still people asking
Right.
people that? Like,
Right.
have you-
I've very much. I've had family members where I'm like, I have been told that I'm your elder, and I'm like, and I'm adult,
You know, I don't care.
right? No, not even that. It's so much like you can't, because I think a lot of times too with elders, it's one of these things of like, I can just say whatever,
yeah.
I've been waiting my whole life.
and I'm like, I don't have a problem with you voicing your opinion, But sometimes you just need to think about what you just said.
Yeah.
Like that don't even make, one, it may not be none of your business. Two, it may not be anything that has anything to do with you or me or anything. And three, who cares sometimes? Like really, sometimes I feel like there are people, regardless of age, who feel like they just need to say something to be saying something. And I'm like, you don't.
That's not your lane.
That's not.
Yeah. And also do recognize that they're not always trying to be rude. Like sometimes they are. And then sometimes I just don't think people think about what they're saying is not appropriate.
Or a conversation topic.
Or have not had anybody who has ever challenged it.
Corrected that.
Right? And so that's what I have had. I've had a conversation with family members and been like, I'm setting new boundaries. So like, no, like I understand other family members have maybe said something to you and that's y'all's relationship, but we haven't had one. So let's get ours out of the way now so we can go ahead and do this because I still care for you. But the things of the past, when I was a child, are going to stay there.
Right.
And how we moving forward now is going to be something totally different. Now, and I've had people be mad at me about the conversations that we've had, but at the same time, respect has been placed and now we move in a different way. And it's all because like, I think that a lot of times people just look at you as who you were versus where the relationship needs to have evolved. And sometimes you gotta, let's bring everybody forward.
Come on, rein it in.
Right.
I mean, I think that if in general, and while we are grieving people in things and relationships that maybe we have or once had, if we remove the expectations and we set boundaries.
Not you giving your aftershave early.
No, this is not even my aftershave. I got
wow, look at you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If we remove the expectations and set boundaries, then maybe your grieving can shift into something else.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
I think
good.
That,
I think that we should do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I mean, anyway?
No, I think we've exhausted.
I mean, because I think that we already did it. But one thing we going to do is
tangent into our anger issues instead of grieving.
Look, we need group therapy. So it sounds like
we need to call up our friend from our mental health package.
Right?
No, we can't.
That's right.
He's booked.
Damn. No new client. Okay. If you could Google search your mind, what would you search for?
Ooh.
I want to find memories that I can't remember, like times in my life that I can't remember. Like, so I can't remember like when I was a little kid. So I would love to like go back and like watch without, especially since I have a young child now, like what that looked like for me in that moment. I would like to, since I don't remember it, I would like to go back.
Nicole, why?
Okay.
Nicole's like my best orgasm.
No.
I feel like Nicole was thinking about you as a child from her memory.
I'm thinking like, because I feel like sometimes people forget things in their past because it's traumatic.
That's what I was thinking.
So I'm
I'm hoping my whole childhood was
no, not your whole childhood.
I'm sure that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I just think it was too young to remember.
I also have a shitty memory and can't remember most of mine. I don't think it was traumatic.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I just feel like some things I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Like I would like to go back. Just think about it. I don't think it was traumatic.
All right. What would I GTS? In my own mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in someone else.
In the real thing.
I'm just, I mean, because I feel like maybe we could ask the question, like things that you already know or things that you would like to know. Like, never mind. Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Maybe, I mean, to your point, there is times when you Google something just because you want to like show somebody else or relive the moment. Okay. And then there are times when you Google because you literally don't know anything. Right. So like,
that's what I'm thinking about. Okay. Someone go. But I would Google.
Honestly, I think that I think
search might be the better word if Google is what's hanging.
Okay. Well, somebody still go.
Yeah. I think for me, I probably, when the first thing that made me think about is like, maybe realizing the moment that I realized I was Black. Like, I think that I would be very interested in, like, I would think I would be interested in knowing, like, I don't remember, right? Like, I don't remember, like, it being a good or bad or, whatever the situation would be. I would assume that was a good thing. But, I don't remember that moment. But I just feel like I would wonder I wonder what it was like. And like, was I like proud in the moment, or did I have questions, or like what that would be? But like, I think like that would be like something I would like.
That is so interesting. As a person who notoriously forgets everything, I remember the moment that I realized, like, as a Black woman, that I was like double minority.
Was it traumatic?
I just like remember being like in my mom's car on the way to middle school and being like, wow. I thought about it as like a not a Venn diagram, but like, you know, those charts where it's like there are like things at the top and then there are things on the side and then you see like the cross. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, woman, Black, white. That's how I remember it.
Man,
Damn.
add another level, gay.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know
hectic.
what I would, but it might be a little emo. I think that if I had to search anything, just because the self-work I'm doing now in therapy, go get one, is when did I start losing self-esteem?
Oh.
And I feel like a lot of people could benefit from that because,
Yeah.
you know, like knowing where you lose something, so then that way you won't have to work so hard in the future.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
deep.
Damn, that was really deep.
Yeah.
Damn, that was really good one.
That was.
Yeah, I think that's where I would
Because I do
start.
like
I
think
should've thought
nostalgically
longer
back and been
about
like,
mine,
wow,
too.
I used to have like so much confidence in myself, or just
Right.
like not like look down on myself for being curious about things. Like now I expect myself to know things that I never expected myself to know before. So I'm like,
Yeah.
why do I expect that now?
Yeah.
Like I just learned it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good, Nicole.
That was
Yeah.
really good. Damn, you guys were really deep today, and usually you're not. So I had a non-deep answer
Damn.
to this question.
Say it.
I would Google search people's names when I initially met them because I never remember what they are after the fact. And I'm too embarrassed to ask later. Like
that's
my
real shit.
hygienist.
Hold on, wait, because that was my Stacey situation because I didn't know the hoe's name. I didn't know it, and I won't.
You
The way
still-
she was acting, I won't try to learn it either.
I was like, you still don't. I remember you
Yeah.
refused to call that girl anything but
But
Stacy.
Stacey.
Yep,
Mhm.
still do.
It reminds.
So hey, Stacey girl, if you listening,
It rhymes with Stacy, but it was not.
I know.
Speaking of, this question reminds me. Did you guys
Hectic.
ever watch Upload on Amazon Prime?
Yeah, so good. Love that show.
Yeah, it's really good. It kind of it's about like you die and then they put your body like in this simulation thing, but your brain is still active, so they can like visit you in this like computer world. So they like hook you and the person up to this. So they're like living in this like computerized nursing home essentially, and you can go visit their mind. Like you can go visit them there.
Oh.
Live people can visit
You
the
said
dead.
Upload on Amazon
It's on
Prime?
Upload.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can look at
And
it.
it's also really good. There's also like this like salon that you can go in. You can like relive memories too.
Cool.
But it's a really cool show if you haven't seen it.
It
It's
is.
Oh, I
really
have to
good.
watch it.
Yeah.
I feel like that stems from what's that show that was traumatic for all of us, but we all watched it.
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Which one? Black Mirror. But this one's not scary.
Right. But I feel like that concept stems from
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, but like not in a traumatic
watch
way.
that?
Black Mirror on Netflix.
Did I leave? Yeah, watch it.
No, we
This
can watch it
one-
together. It's like been out for a few.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also,
Right.
if you want to watch it, just skip the first episode and go to episode 2 because you might not
Don't do it.
Yeah, first episode.
Don't do it.
go in hard in the paint.
First episode, first season.
Yeah. It's time for Meme of the Week.
Meme of the
The fact that we practiced and you still got it.
When have you ever done that?
What were you saying?
I was literally for the week.
But you were also doing brr, 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 brr at the same time.
Like what?
Can we redo it?
Yes, we have to.
No, I want to keep it. I like it.
Oh.
Okay.
How'd you
Hate it.
still? Okay.
No, that's what I say.
Okay. So this
Anyway.
one's coming from I'm Just Eden. I'm obsessed with this page. I hear a lot. And so this one says, my problem is I'm mature and childish. I'm moudish.
Childish all the way.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like this
Fair.
podcast really proved
And
that
that's
for us.
why I said, because I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah. Tis
and-
us. Tis us.
Yeah. And I also think this one's really good for the topic at hand. It says, we have to accept that some people are really effed up and it's not our job to heal them.
What if we're the effed up people?
I refuse to.
Is it our
accept
job to
that.
heal ourselves?
Not after this whole conversation. You be like, no, I refuse to accept
No,
that I'm the
that is
problem.
absolutely not me.
Am I the drama?
Yes.
No, I am sick.
Again, not accepting it.
Wow. Okay.
But you guys can. But yourself.
Yes, you guys can. No.
No, that sounds like the words of a toxic person.
All right. Well, time for aftershave. How y'all feel? We're moving on because, like I said, I'm not
No,
accepting
it's
that.
time for aftershave.
Yeah. So who wants to go first? I'll go because I don't want nobody to take mine. I think we've said it. So we've been saying this a lot through the whole time, but like, a lot of what's happening in our lives, we can just accept them as lessons learned. Now we can move on from them. People are going to change. We are going to change. Circumstances are going to change. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. We can love and hate what we've been through or really love a relationship and grieve it, but also just move on from it and accept it as a lesson. So I'm just going to subscribe to, I'm not grieving anything. I'm going to take it as a lesson instead and just really love the memory that I had with someone and accept it as that. It was a memory. It was a time. That time was great. And now we're in a different place.
Good. Okay, I'll go next. I think as we've been talking about grieving people and things, sometimes even places, depending on if they're all connected.
Wow.
I
didn't even think about that. That's
Wow.
true.
That's good.
Now you're
Yeah.
bringing it up at the end.
Right.
Go ahead.
Not too mad.
All right.
Maybe not your turn.
I'm grieving the conversation that could have happened. She brought it up earlier.
All right. Maybe part 2 because we sound passionate about it.
Right. Not you being toxic.
Why am I always passionate? Because I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm not passionate. I'm angry. Damn it.
Okay. Landmine bitch.
Not your whole therapy session like manifesting in this moment. What did your therapist say to do in this moment?
I was assertive and maybe a little aggressive.
Maybe it's little.
So as Saya said, this is when you could have and should have walked away. Sat silent.
Assertive doesn't mean aggressive.
No, I'm proud of myself for bringing it up at the time. I didn't
All
say
right.
anything
See, now
damaging.
it might lead to a part 2 conversation.
Yeah, because I didn't say anything damaging.
And now we're on a tangent and we're supposed to be after shading.
And here we are.
This is how it happens every week.
So, as we're talking about grieving these things, I think that we should take responsibility and accountability for what we allow in our space. The expectations that we set on these things, whether it be people or things, they are falsehoods that we kind of create in our head sometimes. That might not always be the case, but sometimes it's things that it's the narrative that we've put together. And we have to be okay with understanding that the narrative may not be what is actually the truth. And in doing that, remove your expectations. As I said earlier, I know I've said this a lot throughout this episode, but just learn to remove some of the expectations that you have on yourself even. And then that way you can turn your grieving into celebration. I think the whole concept here is to look at the upside of things. You don't have to necessarily grieve something. Life is a journey. Just work through it the best way you know how, without people's expectations. That's it.
Wow, now you're throwing shade at Tiffany at the end.
I didn't.
Oh.
Wow, not you personalizing that blanket statement. Crazy of you. Anyways, I'm gonna say that my aftershade kind of piggybacks on what both of you have said, and I think that sometimes when we learn information about people, we sometimes grieve our naivety. Like we feel like we did ourselves a disservice by believing the best in people sometimes, or believing that the good things could be true, or that the good things were all encompassing without seeing the negatives. And I think kind of to what Nicole was saying about the narratives that we write, like our whole life is built on narrative. Like all of it is built on the information that you've been presented and how you move forward with that information. And in most situations, you're not going to have every ounce of information available for you to move on. So like, don't take that as a reason to distrust everybody that you interact with. And most importantly, yourself. I think that it's okay to learn these lessons and to keep moving forward. And you can do it in love and in love for other people, and still in like in love with yourself, giving yourself that grace of like taking new information and moving forward differently based on that, and not feeling like you should have known things that you learned later. I think that it's okay. And if people are dishonest, or if people are like hiding things from you, or things come to light, like that is not a fault of you, and that is not make your positivity or your belief in people a negative attribute of your characteristics. So don't take that.
Oh, these are all good. I'm so proud of y'all.
Not you being shocked.
Right. All right. Come on, Bishop. Go ahead. Close this out. Well, closing remarks. Benediction.
Anyway, can't stand y'all. This is exactly why I went last. So I was like, I'm gonna let, after the last one be posted, I'm just gonna let everybody go first.
I'm gonna let them suck, and then I'm gonna bring it home.
No, because y'all said really good stuff, and not surprised at all. But I think that that's what this whole podcast episode revolved around. I think for me, my aftershade is going to be understanding that grief is a part of life, right? I think that a lot of times there's a negative connotation associated with grief, right? Like that it is loss. I mean, it is, but that's part of life. Be it due to change, be it actually a loss of somebody, be it a loss of relationship, or loss of familiarity, a loss of
Your time.
Right? Yeah, or closeness. But I think
Tiff is pissed all over again.
Here we go. But I think it's a necessary component of us growing and learning and becoming who we are. Right? Grief has its point, but it's not for us to stay in, right? It's a transitionary thing. You are moving from one thing, grieving it, moving into another, and it's all a part of becoming. I think grief is a part of becoming, right? It's an opportunity for you to recognize what was and moving into a new thing that it shall be. And I think a lot of times we just look at it as a negative thing, and it may have some negative connotation to even get us there. We talked about us being even the people who have maybe caused grief in other people's lives, but that's sometimes a necessary thing in order to move into a different season.
Not you being a villain every day, but looking at me for being forthcoming about my wrongdoing. Wow.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's so true.
You know what?
Cannot stand y'all. But yeah, it's a necessary thing. And I think that a lot of times we say it negatively, or we look at it from a negative standpoint, and it hurts, right? So it hurts. That grief hurts. But allow it to being that transitionary thing, taking the expectations, moving those expectations into something new, changing the relationship for whatever it is. It's okay to grieve it, but it is also a stepping point into moving that relationship, who you are, wherever wherever you are in life, or the loss of people, the loss of location, whatever it is, moving. It's allowing you to cleave something and move into something. I think that that's my affirmation, is like, allow this to not be something where you stay in. People talk a lot of times when you lose somebody, the grief is heavy. It is, but you're going to have to move through it. It's a transitionary thing. It's not something where you stay in it. So I think that's my biggest affirmation for everyone, is when you are grieving the loss of somebody who they used to be, don't stay there, move with it. Realize that it does hurt, but then also allow yourself the grace to be able to move beyond. It's my affirmation.
Ooh,
that was good.
It was. Good job, guys.
This is a good episode. Like, I wasn't really sure where it was going to go, but really, honestly, in the beginning,
for real.
I just want us to stop being shocked when we do the good things.
Right now, I feel like I'm grieving because I realized we've gotten a whole episode and I had to Google not one word Tiff said out her mouth.
Well, I just Googled one that Saya said.
Oh, wow. How the turntables.
Cleave.
Oh,
that's in the Bible.
I know, but I thought it meant something else. That's why I was confused.
Sorry.
Wow. Nicole really said if you read, you would know.
And I did. But I thought, because I always hear leave and cleave. Right?
Yeah.
Like in terms
Cleave
of marriage?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cleave and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay, maybe I should read my Bible.
I think it works either way. I think it's
Well, no.
cleave in and of
Okay, tell
itself.
us what the definition is then.
Um,
Jesus, maybe you shifting. What is
split and sever something, especially along a natural line of grain. I thought
cleaver.
I thought leave and cleave meant you leave where you are and you cleave to someone else, but that's not what that means. That's why I was confused this whole time.
Okay.
Well, that's
no, it's good. This is good clarity.
It is,
right
but now I'm
here.
like, girl, you should have looked this up earlier.
But I also have always thought like cleave meant like a cleaver, you know, like
Yeah,
a knife, like you go whop, and
that's why it's called a cleaver.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All
Well,
right. Well,
Learn something new today.
see y'all next time.
Right.
I won't say 2 weeks because who knows. All right. Bye.
Bye.